Oh no!
I mean,
No! No, not again!
I mean, the thing is, it's the bare minimum, right? But so many of them just use a picture of Discworld. And it's really annoying. It's really irritating.
Yeah, okay.
What? I mean,
It's
research, guys.
It's just poor
Research.
turtling.
They type cosmic turtle and they just
turtle.
use the first picture they see, and I'm like, guys, Maturin don't have elephants and a Discworld on its back.
Turtle.
Is that what it's called?
Cosmic turtle. It's Turtle.
I don't know if the one in Discworld has a name or not.
No, a two-in.
Or a two-in.
A two-in, the world turtle.
Close to Maturin.
It's probably a shared mythological root.
Very true.
Turtle ancestor.
Do you think...
Ancestor.
Do you think Terry Pratchett ground up that root and fed it to his friend in a drink at any point?
I hope so.
Drugged his friend without their knowledge. Hi, you're listening to The Big Damning Joke. My name is Chris. I mean, I guess it's better than the rubber one. Johnson.
My name is Lost to the Ages and can only be found in the ancient texts of disappeared people.
But let it be known, he is the eater of worlds.
I am.
And of children.
I am.
But yeah, you're here for nerdy news, geeky gossip, but this week a little bit more streamlined and specific, because as of the recording of this, which is Monday the 9th of September, not much has happened. So if something's happened between now and the release of this, yeah. But what we are doing is carry on part 2 of our mini Derry, Maine saga, or at least this visit to Derry in Maine. There'll be many more going forward, I'm sure, for various other stories and retrospectives. But chapter 2
take place in Derry.
Quite a lot of them, don't they? Well, they all take place in Maine. For the most part.
A lot of it takes place in Castle Rock.
Yes. Have you watched any of the TV version?
No. But apparently it's pretty good.
Because Castle Rock isn't an adaptation of a specific story, is it? It
just uses that location and characters from other Stephen King stories set in Castle Rock. So characters from Cujo, Needful Things.
Yeah. So it's the Dickensian of Stephen King. Remember
the Once Upon a Time of Stephen King.
I'd rather compare it to a good thing.
Okay.
A few years ago, it was basically all Charles Dickens' books. The Avengers did it, baby, into like a one-off series.
That sounds.
Where they all kind of crossed over,
right,
and it did work quite well, to be fair. And it wasn't meant to be like this is our theory, this is our statement that these books are all connected. It was just why not? They're all pretty much set at the same time. Let's put them in a story together. Let's have a murder mystery of one of the characters, and you encounter a bunch of the others. And it'll be really cool as a showcase for Charles Dickens stories for newbies. And anyone who's read a bunch of his stuff will go, it's like a little Easter egg hunt.
Oh, that's clever.
It's quite nice. And yes, Scrooge and Marley did pop up in it.
Did the ironworks explode on the Easter egg hunt?
No.
Oh.
No, and the Black Spot was not burnt down.
Oh, no!
Also, it was set in Victorian London, so...
Oh, okay.
No Derry, Maine.
No Derry, Maine.
But yes, a Castle Rock, I guess, is like that. And I know they've utilised actors from across his adaptations in different roles.
Yeah.
So, for example, connected to this week, Bill Skarsgård is in it as a completely different character.
Yes.
And it's like, that's quite cool, because it means that if you're a fan of King, you get to play the CW... DC show thing of like, oh, they're from that one, and they played that and that one, and they played that, and whoever sat on the couch with us going, please shut up, I'm trying to watch the scary show. I'm a stay.
Did you ever watch any of the Mist TV series?
I didn't. Was it a couple seasons?
I watched like half of the pilot and was like, this is boring.
Oh, that sucks. Does it adapt the Mist again? Or does it tell a different version of it?
As far as I can tell, it just takes the basic concept of Mist covering a small town which has creatures in it. As far as I can tell.
Despite the fact, alongside the wonderfully creepy Lovecraftian creature designs and descriptions in the book, I think things that are alluded to, and then the versions that we see in the Frank Darabont movie adaptation, the most frightening thing about the Mist is the paranoia and the people how they react to the situation.
Which I believe is what the series plays on because it's set in multiple...
Because it's a TV series, they've got to spread that budget.
It's set in multiple locations.
So in this episode of the show, featuring the horrible Lovecraftian nightmares living in the mist outside, it could come in and grab us at any moment.
I bet there isn't.
We could have a conversation for 40 minutes.
I think they only got one season, It's on Netflix.
It was cancelled, I know that much.
It was cancelled.
It was cancelled ahead of them finishing the story they wanted to do.
Whereas they managed to get Under the Dome out to 3 seasons.
Yeah. Here's the thing with King, right? A lot of the stuff that's adapted from his, and correct me if I'm wrong, you are the King file.
The Thing with King.
The Thing with King. The Queen.
I should... that's going to be the title of the video. Okay, yeah.
A lot of his stuff that's adapted and stretched
yep.
is based on his shorter stories. Or his more simple concepts that are like be all and end all and it's done.
Yeah, the stuff that's expanded is from short stories. The stuff that is squozed is from his longer stories. With the exception of Under the Dome, which is a 1,000-odd page hardback that got 3 seasons of a TV show, but which diverges wildly from the original text.
How's The Stand going to fare, do you think?
Probably badly.
Yeah.
Well, it's Josh Boone heading it up.
Yeah,
and his New Mutants hasn't come out yet, so God knows what he's been doing.
The Stand, apparently. He's reading it still. It's been fucking huge.
It's been cast.
Is that his biggest book in terms of page length?
Yeah.
Yeah. Followed by It, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Yeah. Not counting Dark Tower.
Dark Tower, if you count it as one individual work, in which case the longest Dark Tower book is probably
4 packets of cocaine.
4 packets of cocaine. Yay! I think the final book, which is also called The Dark Tower, is probably the longest, and that's equivalent in length to... It's not as long as It or The Stand.
Yeah, but near enough.
It's
at the latter Harry Potter series end of the spectrum.
Yeah. This is a series that gets...
Apart from Half-Blood Prince, which is slightly smaller than its bookends, which is weird on the shelf, because you're like, hang on, why is she giving up this year? What's going on?
Dark Tower does a Harry Potter where they all get progressively longer until the 6th one, which is conspicuously short, and then the 7th one's really long. Yeah, not enough cocaine. Well, that was after his accident.
Yeah, because he's definitely not done cocaine since.
He's definitely not done cocaine since his accident.
Definitely not. No. All I'm saying is, look at his nose in Creepshow.
Dreamcatcher's set in and around.
Look at his nose in It Chapter 2.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. He's got the hold of him. The Dreamcatcher's set in and around Derry, and it has a reference to the Losers Club in it.
There you go.
They have a memorial plaque.
Pennywise gets referenced in a few of them, doesn't he?
Pennywise is referenced in the Tommyknockers.
Tommyknockers, someone says, which is set after the conclusion of the book.
But someone drives through Derry and they see the eyes in the storm drain.
There's another one where someone mentions they saw a clown in a silver suit.
Yeah,
which I'm sure is set.
One that is, though.
Which I'm sure is set either the same year as or just after the events of the end of it.
Might be Needful Things.
Could be, because and there's a... Oh god, there's another one, I can't remember which one, but there's one where a massive graffiti somewhere in Derry, someone's written Pennywise lives.
That's Dreamcatcher.
That's in Dreamcatcher.
That's in Dreamcatcher.
Yeah.
Because the mural, the plaque, the memorial plaque that the losers have put up near the standpipe.
Yeah.
Because the standpipe gets torn down in the storm when
Pennywise
dies at the end of it. The losers have put a plaque in there.
Film.
No,
I thought they would have put that in the film. I guess the giant cataclysmic storm within the location was meant to symbolise that, really.
Yes, and I said last week that was one of the things I wanted to see, but you know what? Didn't bother me that it wasn't there, because we'll get to how good Chapter 2 is in a minute.
Yeah. But, for those who haven't guessed, based on the title, the image, and the fact that we're still just talking about King.
We're just talking about Random King stuff.
We are going balls deep on It Chapter 2 spoilers this week. But if you want to see our spoiler-free thoughts, I gave a wee little spoiler-free review on the YouTube channel. Give that a watch. But if you are listening from probably about 10 minutes from now, you have been warned.
Yes,
we'll be a little vague before we go.
Chris has done the non-spoiler review, so we're gonna get into it. But yes, the plaque that the losers have put up, that a character sees in Dreamcatcher, has Pennywise lives scrawled over it.
Okay.
I don't know that there's any,
which implies that the events of It were all for sod all, really.
Well,
two of those tie-in references imply that they did sod all to stop him. Or maybe it's like the 2016 clown sightings. They're just people dressed up as him.
Just the Cult of Pennywise. Now, there's a sequel hook. Also, there is a character in the last Dark Tower book called Dandelo, who is implied to be a similar creature to Pennywise.
Okay. It's like a consumer.
some sort of empathic vampire shapeshifter style thing. Yeah. So yeah, it has tendrils all up in King's work, but we saw it, Chapter 2.
And Chapter 1.
We saw a double bill.
We dived in in select cinemas, mostly Odeons, but I saw a few of the chains doing it.
Yeah, we saw it. Yeah, we saw it
on the night
Odeon.
before opening night, on the 5th. A bunch of cinemas were doing double bills to basically stand in for the usual midnight screening.
Yeah, so we got out a little after midnight as opposed to starting a 2.5 hour, 2 and 3/4 hour movie
at 12
at midnight,
12:20.
Because no one wants to do that.
So many cinemas will still show the usual amount of trailers.
Yeah, no trailers, no ads at all on either film, which was glorious.
Although it does mean we missed out on something that some American screenings got. Screenings got a Birds of Prey teaser. Which is leaked online. Someone filmed it. So it'll get a digital release soon. But
also
it was specific to it, Chapter 2, because it opens... It's like the opening of it. And
yeah.
There's like balloon going past the logo, but then instead of the New Line logo, it's the DC logo. A bunch of balloons fill the screen. And then Harley Quinn appears, twats them all with a baseball bat, and says, "I'm over clowns." And then it's just like a snap of...
That's not bad.
Different. So it's not bad.
That's not
but
bad.
It is also like, don't say that before the movie that you're putting out about a clown is about to play Warner Brothers.
Well...
do as like an afterwards thing, stick around after the film for a preview of a new Warner Brothers movie.
This week we did also get the final trailer for the Doctor Sleep adaptation.
I've not watched this yet.
So keep it up on the King train. Yeah, I mean, it looks fine. Like... I've not finished... I didn't finish reading Doctor Sleep, so I don't know how much they would have to change.
Why didn't you finish reading it?
I fell asleep. Hey! No, I just didn't get around to it. I've still got it.
He's got the shinning.
I've got the shinning.
Shh, do you want to get sued?
But I don't... Fuck off. I don't know how much they have to change from the book to tie into the book version of The Shining, because the film is clearly tying in with the film version of The Shining.
Yeah, this is straight up as a film, it is a sequel to the Kubrick movie.
From the little of Doctor Sleep I have read, there is one significant change from the film to the book, which could change some of the early parts of the book, specifically Danny's memories of growing up after the events of The Shining. Mm-hmm. In the book of The Shining...
Jack Torrance survives?
No, Jack Torrance dies.
Definitely dies. But not in the snow.
Dick Halloran survives in the book.
Dick is the
cook.
Ah!
Scatman Crothers.
Yeah.
He doesn't get axed in the chest in the book.
Okay.
He gets battered, but he doesn't
do
die.
We see him dead in the Kubrick movie?
He gets an axe in the chest.
But do we see him dead
Chris,
in the Kubrick movie?
He gets an axe in the chest.
Yes, but...
He's dead.
Okay.
Whereas
if films have taught me anything, Matt, and they are definitely realistic, he could totally survive. He's dead.
Yeah, he's dead.
He's dead.
Because
he's dead.
In the book, in the Doctor Sleep book, you find out that Dick helped Wendy raise Danny after the events of The Shining,
which is what helped him develop.
Well, yeah, Dick also had The Shining, so he helps teach Danny how to use his.
Okay, so that's...
They could actually get around that kind of easy by, having him... Just have Dick be a ghost.
Like, Dick could always be there. Does Danny see him get the axe to the chest?
In the film? I think it's implied that he feels it. Because
that's cool. But
if I remember correctly,
still grow up talking to him.
If I remember correctly,
that'd be a nice creepy twist.
Dick getting axed in the cuts with Danny reacting as Dick.
Yes,
so he feels Dick die almost.
Yeah.
Feels Dick die.
Feels Dick die.
Fucking hell.
Die, Dick, die.
Dick survives also in the 90s.
Dick will always survive, my friend.
TV miniseries adaptation that is god awful. But he does survive, so there is that. And...
Hey, how about them CGI lawn sculptures,
He does survive, and Danny has... You get the ending where Danny's graduating high school, and you get the reveal that the Tony that you see... that you've been seeing all through the story is actually a teenage Danny.
Oh, God, yeah.
And then Danny, as he's graduated, has a moment where he freezes up on stage and sees the ghost of his dad telling him he loves him, and it's fucking weird. It's weird. It's weird, but we're not here to talk about The Shining or Doctor Sleep. We're here to talk about It Chapter 2, which we watched.
Boy. When watching number 1 in front of number 2, I do think it probably affected our viewing somewhat.
In what way?
I think we were really super mega invested the moment the second movie began.
I was really into it,
in a way
yeah.
that you can only be having just come straight out of watching the first one. And I'll say, had there not been a double bill option, it's very likely we would have rewatched it within the 2 days before we saw number 2.
Yeah. I would definitely have done that. Because...
But I think the fumes of, we've done it, we're halfway through the marathon, we're about to watch something brand new, here we go.
I mean, lest we forget, It Chapter 1 is a fucking great movie.
It's so good.
It's really good.
It is so good. It's the Goonies and Stranger Things having a baby with Stand By Me and Ghostbusters. And there's a little bit of Goosebumps, the book sprinkled in there.
I was talking to my cousin, he doesn't like It Chapter 1 because it's too funny.
Really?
Really.
I mean, fair enough.
And It Chapter 2 is also surprisingly funny in places.
I think it's funny, yeah.
But in a much darker way.
Yeah, oh god, yeah.
There is one particular moment where...
The comedy feels like a coping mechanism in the second one for the characters.
The moment that makes me think that it's doubling down on the black comedy is the... Without going into too much spoilers,
Just
we'll get to it later.
call me Angel.
Yes.
In the morning.
It's fucking hilarious, but the context of what is happening underneath that music cue is horrifying.
It is grim.
But it works so well. And I think the strength of both films, but they go even further. They go further with everything in Chapter 2. They go even further with it in Chapter 2 is the juxtaposition of horror and comedy in the same moment. It's just it strikes a really nice balance, I think, and it's one of the reasons why I really, really like It Chapter 2. I absolutely see the criticisms people have of it. It is long. It didn't feel long to me, which is weird because I just sat through another nearly 2-hour movie before it. But it did not feel like 2 hours and 45 minutes. It fucking flew by.
Yeah.
I think on rewatch it might seem a bit rushed in places because they get through some of the gubbins that holds up the book and the 90s adaptation really quickly.
Yeah. Oh, again, for people who are looking for certain aspects that were clickbait videos for a year after the first one, are they going to touch on that? They're going to do this? Some of those things, they do, but they very much touch on them.
Yeah.
They do them more service and lip service than the 90s TV adaptation does.
Yeah.
But they still don't go full into it. And I think it's just for the sake of streamlined storytelling.
Well, there are two characters.
Were this a TV series, like a series, they could go into it more and explore it. Well, to keep the film momentum going, they're like, here's what you need to know. Here's a mention of that thing early on. You get the gist, let's keep going.
There are two characters.
Just two characters. It's quite bold, really.
That are important.
The film is just about Georgie.
Just about Georgie
and the corpse of Thingy Hogstare, Patrick Hogstare. It's great.
I'd watch that movie. There are
just two hallucinations that are somehow still alive, waiting for Pennywise to wake up.
It's like a buddy cop movie, but they're buddy hallucinations. They go to antics. They go for donuts and the Krispy Kreme.
They sneak out
underneath which is buried an ancient crystal, which contains the Power Rangers power.
What is Krispy Kreme?
I could watch that Power Rangers movie again.
I still mourn the fact we're not getting another.
I know, right?
Because I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, how dare those... I mean, I'm glad that some of those actors have gone on to do some really good stuff in the meantime.
But it would have been
means that
pretty damn sweet to see them come back.
Once Aladdin came out, we're not getting another Power Rangers because Naomi Scott is just on an upward trajectory, and it's not going to happen. But yes, there's two characters that are pretty important to the plot of the book in terms of their relationships with the main characters that just get one scene in the film and then are never mentioned again. Just not mentioned at all.
Moved on.
Yes. Yeah. It's like, we're not going to bother with that. We're just going to cut to quick. It is... again, like we were talking about last week, and like I say all the time, I'm like a broken fucking record with this, so we might as well just get it on a soundboard. It is an absolute prime example of why faithful adaptations are not always good adaptations. Like, the quality and the faithfulness of an adaptation are completely independent of one another.
Yeah, they don't sometimes they can go hand in hand, but it isn't necessary.
Yeah. And sometimes being faithful actually leads to worse adaptations.
Yeah.
Case in point, Watchmen.
Yeah.
Which is
a very well-made film.
It's like,
but it is far from the experience of the book.
It's slavish.
Yeah.
So the inherent structure of the book is in there, and a lot of the visual ideas. So a lot of it still works, but it could have been a much more interesting and exciting film if they'd have taken a few more liberties with it. Like, I don't know, Lord of the Rings, where they were quite liberal with the changes they made and actually improved the narrative for the medium that they were working in, as opposed to The Hobbit, where they did the opposite.
Yeah.
So, it is very much a spectrum, and I think Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 fall more on the spectrum where it's a slightly less faithful adaptation structurally, but the spirit of it is maintained, and therefore the quality of it is a good adaptation because it keeps the things that are important and isn't afraid to change and move around the stuff that people might be attached to.
Yeah.
From either the original book or the 90s version, but aren't actually that important, and in some cases recontextualize some ideas, some character relationships for even more impact than are in the original or other adaptations. So I think Chapter 2 does really well with that. But it is long.
Oh boy, yeah.
I think it does have some pacing issues. Not that it drags, just the pacing is just a little off. And some characters get shortchanged. And that's kind of the worst I have to say about it.
I do wonder if on a rewatch, though, stuff that was exciting the first time would prove to drag a little.
Possibly.
Because here's the formula.
Possibly.
Because I think one of the film's bonuses for me, like something I love about this story and what it gives you to play with.
Yeah.
But I guess a negative for some is it has a formula. The second act, much like the previous adaptation, much like a portion of the book in a way, but the book obviously goes back and forth the entire time, has an entire segment that is based around, here's a flashback to something that we didn't know about yet as a kid, now something quick happens to them as an adult. And then let's go to the next person and do this. And that happens several times in a row. Yeah. And that's one of my favourite things about it, personally. I can see why people are like, all right, we get it now, come on, progress. But it's one of my favourite things because, to me, the thing I love the most about just the idea of this story, beyond sort of going deeper than the surface, is it's a shape-shifting horror monster that creates and is essentially is a dream casting for nightmare scenarios and dream sequences.
Yeah.
It's Nightmare on Elm Street. Like, it's the same thing. It's like, let's see how the monster is going to uniquely screw with this person.
But also Nightmare on Elm Street, where it's the kids and the parents fighting Eddie.
Yes. Yeah. Eddie. Freddy. You're thinking of Eddie.
Eddie?
You're thinking of Eddie.
I'm thinking of Eddie Kasprak.
Yeah. With his cast back.
Oh, James Ransom. So, I really want to get into spoilers.
Dirty bastard.
Not specific moments, but I just want to be able to talk openly about the stuff that happens in this movie. Because I do want to talk about performances, and that depends a lot on spoilers.
True.
Getting into the details of that. So,
hit him with some bullets.
Beyond this point... Oh, yeah, we'll do some bullets first. Bullets first. So, pros.
Excellent casting.
Excellent cast. Particularly excellent jobs from James Ransom and Bill Hader.
Amazing.
Absolute standouts.
Amazing choice to keep the kids core to it, because we get to see them a lot more in new and recontextualized sequences, which is great because it means you don't lose the thing we all fell in love with in the first movie, which was them.
Lead to some hang-on moments when compared to the first film, and also only a couple of brief moments of Uncanny Valley where they've clearly had to de-age the now grown-up child actors. But they are so brief.
Captain Marvel can make Sam Jackson look 30 years younger convincingly. We have yet to get the technology to make a 16-year-old look like a 14-year-old and it not be weird.
It's It's so close.
It's not all the time, and those with a keen ear will hear pitch shifting, particularly for Eddie and Richie.
But it's also because some of that material was shot for the first film.
Yeah,
and then they've put some other material in it, sometimes in the same scene with the older actors that they've had to DH. So I think if it had been all one or all the other, it would have worked.
Yeah. It's not. It doesn't take you out of it, but movie effects buffs will spot it and be amused by it.
It is very brief.
Yeah,
it is very brief.
Skarsgård delivers again. I actually think he gets showcased better in this one.
I think he gets a bit more variety in terms of what he gets to do.
Yeah, because they still hide him a little, because a big part of why monsters are effective is that we don't just see them. But at the same time, you get some more bits in this where they go, we know that there's a killer clown, so we're going to get him out for a bit. Including one scene in broad Technicolor daylight, which weirdly enough might be the freakiest use of him in the whole movie.
Yeah.
Which is, and we'll finally shed some light on the very memeable set pics of Bill Hader and Bill Skarsgård having a conversation. Just offside of set next to a truck.
Yeah.
That'll finally bring some context to that. Because you realise they're line running. Especially when you see the picture of Bill Hader running. They're line running. Oh my god, this is great.
I think it's also what is effective about the bits where they hide him is it's very much done from the character's perspective, because they're not worried about hiding him from the audience, because the audience knows what it's getting into. But they're building the tension because they're hiding him from the characters.
Yeah.
With one moment, we'll get into spoilers, but there's one particularly effective moment with that.
Good lord.
And you know exactly which one I mean, because it is a movie full of great set pieces, like the first one is. And the book is, and the United adaptation is. There's some great set piece moments.
It is grimmer than the first movie in the sense that they are not afraid to show you the stakes of what Pennywise and what the entity is capable of. Particularly in relation to young victims. They are not frightened to show you stuff that will make you go, I can't believe they are making this and putting it in a film. The opening is rough. Tough. The opening is really horrible. And the thing is, it's almost verbatim from the book for the most part. And it's disturbing, as we'll go into spoilers, it's disturbing that it's a scenario that plays just as believably today as it did in the 80s when the book was written.
Yeah.
It's worrying. But that is there to reinforce the idea that, Pennywise don't care.
Yeah.
Pennywise don't care. Can he benefit from this? Yes.
Yes.
Then he will.
Yes.
Because he's a monster that wants to eat things. And that is all he is. It's like, okay. But yeah, I recommend it. I really do. If you enjoyed the first one, I don't think it's better than the first one. I think it is very much it's very much an extension.
Yeah.
In fact,
quite literally, it just does everything the first one does, but more.
Yeah,
that doesn't make it better.
A film I'll compare it to, and based on how you feel about this movie I'm about to mention, I think will probably equate to how you feel about this, because this movie has divided people.
Yeah.
There doesn't seem to be anybody who's it was alright.
No one really hates it, I don't think.
I don't know. I've been on the night of the double bill. I was like, I wonder how many other people have seen it, and I saw polar opposite reactions to it. We're talking Last Jedi style. Like, people hated it or loved it. Like, it's all ones and twos and nines and tens. There is no between. So when I say this, it's very much akin to Ghostbusters 2. If you loved the first, this will give you more of what you want.
Yeah.
There will be more of the stuff you like even more acting. There'll be more of that, and there'll be some really visually cool creative set pieces that push what you thought it was capable of. But there are a lot of similar beats, and if you feel like a revisit is not worth your time, if you are looking for something completely new, you're probably not going to like it. But me personally, I had a lot of fun, and I really recommend it to anybody who likes, especially anyone who likes the first movie, and I think everybody who liked the TV miniseries would get a lot out of this as well.
Anybody who likes Ghostbusters 2 should watch this.
I like Ghostbusters.
And I really like Ghostbusters too. There you go.
It's no replace the words Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2 with It in It Chapter 2.
Yeah.
It's no Ghostbusters, but I will watch Ghostbusters 2
and enjoy the fuck out of it. Right, let's get into some spoilers. Let's get into some discussion of character arcs and performances.
And
spoilers.
Winnie the Pooh impression.
Spoilers from this point on.
Yeah, the rumbling.
You have been warned.
Yeah. Oh. Pennywise's final form is a giant yellow bear in a red t-shirt.
If only.
I would love that, Michael. Well, one of his forms is an adorable Pomeranian puppy.
That's so good.
Or one of his hallucinations. Because they do kind of... A common complaint I've seen about this is the powers make no sense after a certain point. To which I'm like, no, you've decided they make no sense because you've decided it's one monster. It's not. It's 3 swirling balls of orange-blue hellish light that can take whatever damn form it wants.
And as
right
they say...
now, though, the only physical form is that big lumbering hybrid nightmare thing in the chasm. But that he is still all these things. But it's the same reason why you can be talking to Bowers while still like eating a kid somewhere else.
And it's people that are like, oh, it's the willful ignorance of people who don't like something ignoring what is actually laid out in the piece itself.
Yeah.
In that they repeatedly say during the climax, he has to abide by the rules of the form he is in.
Yeah.
That's the entire key to beating it in this version. Because the wonderful thing they do is they take the ritual of Chud and they do the...
Yeah, we get one ritual of Chud in this. Yeah. We get one.
And they take the idea of it and they take that it's going to be metaphysical and weird.
And we get a flashback to a previous one.
Yes.
And then find out later that it didn't work.
They get metaphysical and weird with it.
Yeah.
They get battle in the centre of the mind with it.
Mm.
And then go, actually, that's not going to work. So they both they do actually have their cake and eat it. They give you what you want from the book and then
Marvelous Marriage it.
Yeah.
They change it up in a way where if you read it, you're like, wait, what? Hang on.
Yeah.
What? And they've got to do something else to deal with it. And it kind of works
because it gives it a more cinematic end.
It isn't a horror film to me. It's a fantasy horror.
Yeah, it's an adventure film.
It's an adventure film. Exactly. It's an adventure with scary stuff in it. It's Goonies. Like
it's Goonies with teeth.
People compared the first one to Goonies a lot, and yet obviously decided to leave that at the door when they came in to watch this one.
You know what I watched this weekend?
Even though this is just Goonies, but they're taller now.
You know what I watched this weekend for the first time in ages, and that I showed to a 7-year-old boy for the first time in ages.
Go on.
Dark Crystal, which is an adventure horror film.
Oh my god!
Because it's horrifying
when the podling gets soul sucked
the
out of him.
fucking beetle soldiers.
Jesus,
just
wept.
Everything.
We did it in prep for Age of Resistance.
Yeah. Aughra.
Who is
a good guy. Basically a sympathetic character, but is also terrifying.
I was face to face with that puppet. It was horrifying.
But yeah, it's like
even behind glass, I was like, I don't want her to. If she moves now, I will defecate.
Yes,
I will shit my chinos
in my pants. So, in a way, it is kind of...
I will do an impression of the Barons.
It's a darker version
you heard
of those.
A staph infection?
I'll give you a staph infection. That's taking on an extra meaning. On the subject of which...
Eddie uses a staff. Yeah.
Let's talk about Bill Hader and how good Bill Hader is in this movie.
As Richie tells
and how great they did... What wonderful work they did with Richie as a character... And how great Bill Hader is, and how I want him to be in everything now, and how he loves to sell himself short by saying, I can't do scared acting, and then turns in the best performance in the entire film.
Which is great, because you can see he's got anxiety and stuff, so at a certain point in the press cycle, he's clearly very sort of like unhappy and tetchy and kind of wants it over with. So it's been fun watching some of the press the last few days, because in some of them, you can just see he's like, Why we've answered this question.
Why do we do this?
Can I do something else now? And it's like, oh no. But then one of the others will say something and you'll just see him completely chill out and piss himself. And it's like, oh god, I hope he's having a great time because he deserves to. He's done so well in this.
So very good in this.
He is one of the two, as far as we're aware at the moment, he's one of the 2 actors who were cast before they were cast. Finn Wolfhard was asked, "Who would you want to play older you?"
Yeah, they did that. They did that to all the young cast on the press for the first one. Was like,
yeah,
who do you want to play the older
some of it
you?
is on the featurettes.
Yeah,
they do it on set. They're sort of talking about it on set, just like who you think it should be. And Finn Wolfhard says Bill Hader, And the Machetes apparently went, yeah,
okay.
We agree. And
because it is uncanny.
They approached him when the film was greenlit and asked and told him it's going to be a very tight production schedule. Because that's the thing. This was made very quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Super quick for what it is. And it was not a given. Everyone assumes it was a given. The only reason Chapter 1 appears at the end of the movie the first time is because just before release, they were told, you're getting a second one. Just before that first one came out.
There was enough buzz about it, and the projections were so good, they were like, okay, we're going to do a second one. But because they have a young cast, they had to go quick.
Yeah.
Because also, let's not forget, Chapter 1 was in development hell for about 5 years.
Oh, God, yeah.
And even
Kerry Fukunaga was the director at one point.
Yeah, and he's
to the point where he has a story credit.
He's got story credit. Well, script credit, even.
Yeah.
On the for both of them, I think.
I think he's got a story credit on the second.
Yeah, okay.
But he does his script on the first, absolutely. Will Poulter was Pennywise, and then there was delays, so he had to pull out for a scheduling conflict.
I think the young cast... Oh, God, what was that? There's a mosquito in the house.
There's a big bloody mosquito.
Someone's drilling next door. It's fine. So the young cast was cast for about a year before production ended up starting, because it got put back and put back and put back. I think some of them left the project. Finn Wolfhard was cast, and then... I think it was cast before Stranger Things, and then did the first season of Stranger Things,
and then came back.
And then did the second. So it was a bit of a troubled production initially, and did so well. So it's no wonder that they wanted to get the ball rolling on the second one as quickly as possible, and they moved very quick.
Oh, I mean, again, another thing that was sort of a seed that was sown way before they realised it was a tree. Was Jessica Chastain.
Jessica Chastain is
after Sophia Lillis was cast as Beverly Marsh, she left her callback.
Yeah.
And Andy and what's his wife called? She's the producer.
Barbara Machete.
Barbara Machete. They apparently both looked at each other and they both went, "She's Jessica." Because their first feature film was Mama.
Yeah.
Jessica Chastain was the lead role.
She's teenage Jessica Chastain.
It's the movie that made me fall in love with her as a performer and made me completely fancy her as a goth. I was like, this is great. She's wonderful. They obviously saw that too and went, holy shit, are we casting Sophia because she's great and she already reminds us of someone who was great, who we worked with? And it's like, oh shit. So before the second was greenlit, they had a chat with Jessica Chastain to say, if we did another one, would you be interested? Because here's the thing, it's a horror sequel. Released around Halloween. You don't necessarily get big names involved in these sorts of movies.
Because they don't necessarily often be good.
Yeah. I mean, McAvoy, when you think about it, it's a pretty impressive get for this in terms of booking.
And in terms of what he actually has to do.
Yeah, it's not above what he sort of thing he'd want to do. He comes across as somebody who just loves fucking working.
Yeah.
And acting and stuff and having a ball.
Motherfucker, dude was in Glass.
Yeah.
So...
He's like, what? I get to play 23 different people in a body and do some weird stunts and shit. I'm going to be paid a fraction of what the two other names in the three names are going to be paid, but I'll do the most work. Fuck it, I'll do it. I want to make movies. This is fun. Hands down, the best thing to come out of the Days of Future Past, movie even existing, was just the weird press tour stories of James McAvoy and Hugh Jackman playing Blurred Lines by Robin Thicke to tempt Michael Fassbender out of his trailer, and it working every time. What is this? Seeing James McAvoy and stuff makes me want to go back and watch James McAvoy films.
He's very good.
You say that about many actors now.
He's a very good screen presence.
You watch him and you go, you can say it about actors from recent, decades and stuff. Like, whenever I see Philip Seymour Hoffman in something, I'm like, I want to watch another thing that he's in right now. Like, he's one of those actors where I'm like, I want to revisit his stuff. R.I.P., lovely man. But like James McAvoy is someone who's working today where I'm like, and I've watched him in that. I want to go back and watch Atonement.
Even when he's
I want to go back and watch Wanted. I don't remember liking that movie.
Yeah.
But I want to go back and watch it because I want to watch early McAvoy.
Even when he's in bad stuff, and even when he doesn't have a whole ton to do, he's always very watchable.
It's a very groovy mutation. So...
I don't know what to do! Which wasn't in the film!
Oh god, I
know. But yeah, no, he's great here.
Actually, I think that was footage of Simon Kinberg trying to figure out what the fuck was going on.
I don't know what to do!
But McAvoy's great. The adult cast are wonderful, and as much props as we're giving to Bill Hader, because it is a phenomenal performance, and I think a lot of that is also based on the fact that you have preconceptions of Bill Hader before you go in as one thing, and it's very akin to, like, I imagine the first time anyone watches Robin Williams in a dramatic role.
Robin Williams doing Insomnia or 1 Hour Photo, or even Bicentennial Man or something like that.
Even I know it sounds daft, like obviously not as heavy as those, but even just like the first 2 acts of Hook.
Yeah. Good Morning Vietnam.
Yeah. Like, after having watched him as a comedian and stand-up.
After having done
as
Popeye.
And everything. Yeah, Popeye and Nanu Nanu. Like, you've watched that for so long, you get surprised. Now, that's not to say Richie is a completely dramatic part. It is not. It is definitely a comedy role.
And he does get at least one good impression in there.
Apparently, there was a Pacino bit written in when they knew that Bill Hader was the part.
And he said...
And he requested it be taken out.
It's like, I've done that. I don't want to do it anymore. Which is fair.
Because I'll be honest, the Jabba did take me out for a moment, because I was like, oh, it's one of his impressions. But it makes sense, because these are kids that grew up together in the 80s, and it's like, yeah, he would have a Jabba the Hutt impression. Good. And also Richie does impressions. Gag. Although, R.I.P. the British guy, he doesn't make an appearance in the second film at any point, which is a shame, because I love that voice in both adaptations. It's so cringeworthy. I love it.
But one of the best changes they've made here, which really helps cement the emotional core of the film, is that they have recontextualized Richie and Eddie's relationship. That Richie is secretly in love with Eddie and has been since they were kids.
Yeah,
and
which sort of dials into Eddie the Virgin. Which they don't do in this. The implication in this is more that he is married and he's married. He's content in, like, he's happy enough. He never complains about his marriage. But Richie does make like a stab at his marriage, and Eddie does not.
Who married a woman 10 times his body mass?
Like, Eddie does not fight back or argue back. So it's like.
But also they do the really smart thing to reference the text where he marries a woman who is basically his mum. They just cast the same actress,
which is genius.
And she's not in it very much, but she was long enough for you to go,
like a shot. Yeah,
well, for enough for you to go. But and then she also Eddie's mum is in it later on as well.
Yeah,
but it's enough for you to go, oh fuck, that's the same actress.
Yeah, which is brilliant
because she looks so different.
Because the TV movie forgoes that by just being like, he's still living with his mum. But in that, there's the whole thing of him being, he's a virgin because he's like, he sort of confesses it toward the end because he feels like it's something he has to get off his chest.
Yeah.
And he says, I always wanted to save it for someone I loved, and I've never really loved anyone that way, except you guys. And it's like, oh my god, that is super sweet. And it's a lovely moment in the TV adaptation, especially, because then Richie's sort of like, well, I'm afraid we can't help you with that down here, but whatever. And they kind of have a little moment, and it's really sweet.
It's not so much that in the book.
But what I'm saying is it feels like the movie's transplanted that a little bit, but it's put it onto Richie.
But it also...
in a way, the idea that there is a love that has gone unfulfilled throughout the entirety of their life, and up until getting back with them, he probably doesn't even know why. He probably doesn't even remember why.
Because it also mirrors Ben and Bev's relationship.
It's not the glamour, is it?
Just the forgetting of it.
Yeah.
It mirrors Ben and Bev's relationship, which is nice. And it also...
And as soon as they get back together, he starts to feel it more. He starts to remember more. Whereas it takes Bev a little longer because she's going through the same process she did as a teenager, which is...
You also get that moment where...
Bill trying to say something to me, and it's like, no, he's not.
But you also get the moment where Ben realises that he's kept that page from his yearbook in his wallet for 27 years.
And didn't know why. Like, he sort of remembered... I think they allude to he remembered a girl.
Yeah, but he didn't remember anything else.
He remembered the girl enough that he knew he didn't want to take it out of his wallet.
Yeah.
And it is in... pristine condition. Like, it's just the folds on the sides. That is the only thing that is present.
Also, slight Ben side note, the guy that's introducing him in that first meeting
is the guy who played the kid.
Is the guy who played the young Ben in the 90s
series. Yeah, I saw that today. I was like, what a great little cameo.
Another thing I didn't catch, which ties into the Richie thing. So when someone hands in the flyer for his own funeral service in the present day, bit when he's in the park, that's Adrian Mellon.
Yeah, I caught that. That was disturbing. That was really super disturbing.
So it also...
Because you only see it linger on part of his face is a bit fucked up. You only see it linger on that for a moment.
I didn't catch that.
But it's like, that was a really nice touch. But again, it's like, Richie obviously not knowing that, but it's tying back in like the sort of the angle of how in Derry there's obviously probably what stuck with him. There is a blanket of homophobia and prejudice in Derry,
as there is in a lot of small town, not just America, even a lot of
it's still a
places.
Thing. Let's talk about the Adrian scene at the top because that is
rough.
That opens the book.
It's so rough,
and it's almost the same. Like it's near enough the same.
The basic details of it are the same. The main thing that's missing is in the book. A lot of it is told via the police investigation afterwards, the interviews and such.
Someone says they saw a clown.
Yeah, and you do see it. But you hear about it from different people's perspectives.
Yeah, in the film we're seeing it.
It
pretty
just
much
shows
from
the events.
Adrian's and his boyfriend. I'm not sure his boyfriend's name is, but
Don Haggerty.
Don.
But also it's slightly darker in that because you don't have the context of the details coming from police interviews, you don't get a sense that the perpetrators were caught.
Yeah.
So the idea is that they've done that and then they go free, as opposed to in the book where they've done that and then they all get sent to prison.
Yeah.
I think one of them even commits suicide in prison after the fact, if I remember correctly.
Gets eaten and it looks like a...
Well,
Lord knows.
But
because it's a great reaffirmation in the film of, this thing eats everyone.
Yeah.
Like, fear's just the tastiest thing. It wants fear.
And it likes children.
I mean, it will eat everything. There was a scene shot set when it first decides the Pennywise form. This was shot for number 1 and was not used, and Machete was going to use it for number 2 and then did not use it because he just felt that it was too dark. And it was shot. There is a still out there somewhere of Bill Skarsgård bald, blood red, and not quite clownish yet, but his features are a little bit elongated. And the scene in question was it picking that form sometime in the 1800s.
Yeah.
And him basically bargaining the same way he does with the kids in the sewer at the end of the first one, saying that he will leave this woman and her family alone if she leaves the baby. And she's terrified and she puts her newborn baby like in the middle of the room and leaves. So they were like, it's just a bit too, but they shot it.
And then that's the kind of thing that would be that they do in chapter 2.
Yeah.
Because you've got...
But it's the same, it's that same as the intro. It's just like, this is not pleasant to watch. And again, I've seen some complaints online, people saying you should have put some kind of warning beforehand because of how visceral that is.
Well, that's what
and it's like, I get that. But it is also, it's also a horror movie, so like, it's not like it's suddenly slapping you in the face at the front of a drama, or a comedy. So I can completely empathize and understand why people would be traumatized, like people who probably had similar experiences or are aware of similar experiences. But it's good lord, it definitely sets the tone the exact same way the book does. It sets this horrific tone.
Yeah,
that Derry is not a nice place, and this thing takes advantage of that. And as we know more, I think the TV series does a better job than this film, actually, though. It is also part of why this is not a nice place. Like, his tendrils, as it were, extend through all of Derry.
Although
the first film plays that up a little more, and the TV series does a better job of that, I think, than the second film does.
They explain it more in chapter 2. They explain that that's the case. But you've shown that that's the case, but it doesn't... They don't
show it as much as,
in
say,
terms
part
of
one.
But because you don't really see much of...
Other people, really.
It is so focused on the Losers Club.
I mean, one scene showcases it quite well, and that's the Richie... Pennywise confronting Richie, adult Richie scene.
Yes.
You'd see a physical representation of how woven Pennywise is into this town. The way everyone in the background just stops still.
He's essentially puppeteering them.
Yeah, they're just sort of swaying a bit, and it's like that is really super.
They won't even know they're doing it. They won't even know that they won't even remember any of that. It's like in the first one when Ben's in the library and he's flicking through the book, and the old woman is just staring at him.
Yeah.
In the background, out of focus, and she gets closer in the next shot. And then when he goes off, she's just at the stacks browsing again. Nothing ever comes of it. They never draw attention to it. It's just there.
Because at some point...
And it's so weird!
A clown decided to take a front row seat and watch him from behind through the eyes of a woman.
It's so odd!
It is really bizarre. They have a lot... They do have moments like that in this one, but I think the first one and the TV miniseries establish it a little more.
You get a sense of it as well at the baseball game.
Yeah!
The way that the adults are just like...
They don't pay attention to the noise under the bleachers.
Yeah. And all that poor girl.
Oh, good lord, that scene is what... She's great.
She's
amazing. The young girl who we see earlier on briefly, and then we see her again here.
Well, Adrian gives her the soft toy.
Yeah. She's holding it at the baseball game. She's got a birthmark on her face, and she hears a noise in bleachers. There's a chases a firefly. She meets Pennywise in shadow. Is that the scene you alluded to before as well? You're saying like him being obscured but it's for the purpose of the scene, not for the audience.
Yeah, it's we're seeing. They're not hiding Pennywise from us, the audience, because we know what it looks like. They're hiding him from Vicky, so it's scary for us because she can't see him, not because we can't, because we know what he looks like.
And it's also great in that one because it shows you that again he's not above using temptation rather than fear.
Yeah,
like, she's unnerved by him, but she's not scared of him.
It's a tactic that we actually don't see him use
elsewhere.
Before that, is he uses empathy to get to her.
But it also is it's there to showcase that, this clown. No, it does work. Like, this clown does work. Like, Georgie was taken in by the clown. It worked. This girl is taken in by the clown. It still works. Like, and I think it's kind of important because, obviously, the way the adaptation works is this chapter 2 is set in present day, near enough, set in 2016.
Yeah.
And people were joking when the first one was coming out, like, no kid is going to walk up to that clown and be like, hello, Mr. Clown. It's like, no.
We'll do this scene.
We will show you that is totally doable.
Yeah.
Like, it is totally believable. And he is. Obviously, you know he's got sinister intent, so you don't buy it completely. But he is adorable in that scene. You're like, I feel so bad for him. Oh wait, no, I don't. He's going to eat that girl. And he fucking does.
Oh, they do not.
He bites half of her head off. Half of her head, boys and girls. Not a whole head, not just like a chomp. Not an arm. We don't end on a bite. Like on him, and then we cut away. He rips half of her head off and then we cut away.
It is rough.
One of my favourite shots in the movie was one of the boldest shots it had, which was the reveal of Henry Bowers coming out of the sewer at the beginning to show that he survived falling down the well.
That was horrifying.
Because the shot is just trickling through the water slowly at the Barrens, and we see, at first it's like, is that a skull? That's a leg. That's the body of a child. They're all children.
It's just bits.
Oh, good God.
Bits of children.
Just bits of kids. And not like Halloween store props. Bits of children.
No.
Like corpses that have just been exposed to daylight and moisture after being suspended in a weird invisible mobile of supernatural proportions for several months.
Yeah.
It's like, this is horrific. But they don't hold back on that sort of shit. When you see the decay of certain characters, like one of my favourite practical looks in the whole movie, the corpse of Patrick Hogstetter.
Oh, yeah, very American Werewolf in London style.
Which is sort of the visual representation of Pennywise luring Henry Bowers back into the fray.
This movie is calling out 80s horror movies left, right and centre.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah. I mean, we'll get to it. I think we need to start looking at it chronologically so we cover everything. But that one is
a very clever reference for reasons which I'll get to later. It's even smarter than but anyway.
Yes. Let's go a little chronologically. So we have the Adrian scene, and it is really fucking horrible.
It sets the tone of this is a nasty, dark movie.
But it also changes something because as Mike played brilliantly by Isaiah Mustafa.
Yeah, the Old Spice guy.
Who knew? Well, people
anyone who's seen
like
anything
crime
else.
dramas and stuff.
Like
he's been in loads of TV
loads of stuff. But that's how people who some people know him.
He won America's heart by being the Old Spice guy, and hopefully that means more people will then go, let's see him in other things than just go, the Old Spice guy.
There was one moment. I can't remember what it was, but there was one moment in this where the framing of him just made me think of the Old Spice commercial.
I think it was when he looked at Pennywise and he said, "Look at your dinner. Now back to me. Now look at that dinner. Now back to me."
Yeah, no, it was something like that.
Your dinner is not me.
I think it's like in the climax where he's like, no, he's trying to get Pennywise's attention.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's the Old Spice ad.
But I must fact that they make a key change here in that he rocks up to the crime scene. He suspects it's this thing because of course Mike has stayed in Derry, so he doesn't remember everything, but it haunts him more than the rest because he's.
I think he does
there.
remember everything.
I'm sure they make some suggestions that it's the relationships he doesn't remember like exactly. He remembers his friends, but not.
No, he does. He remembers everything.
Oh,
he remembers everything.
Where did I get that idea? And I'm sure there's a line at some point where he alludes to like he's patchy, but he's way less than the rest of them because he never left. I might be hallucinating. Maybe it's because I've been away from the movie for
maybe
too long.
You got some of the.
I'm forgetting the movie.
Maybe you got some of the holy maturing.
Oh God, yeah. But they change the core aspect a bit because he goes to the thing and Pennywise has hallucination graffitied. Come home, all the way up the inside of the bridge.
Presumably in Adrian's blood.
Because in this version, Pennywise not only welcomes their return, he kind of starts it off.
Yeah.
He wants them to come back.
Yeah.
Whereas, and correct me if I'm wrong, in the book, there's suggestions that he's kind of gleefully delighted they're here so he has a chance to fuck with them again. But he's aware of what they can do to him, so he's a little more like foreboding. He's a little more, get out while you still can, you better leave Derry, you better go.
I think he does.
Because he's a coward. Pennywise is a goddamn coward.
I think he does sort of goad them back in the book because the circumstances of the first couple of murders, there's a lot of coincidences. Like the investigating officer is the son of the man who found George's body.
Yes.
And stuff like that. There's a lot of
there's a few connections. But he does, like, for example, like in the book and the miniseries, he brings Henry Bowers into it more so to pick them off. Like in the hopes of genuinely killing some of them.
Yeah.
Because, and it's never said, but like because that will weaken the chance of them being able to defeat him.
Yeah, he wants them to come back, but he wants them back so he can kill them.
Yeah, and if that means someone else killing a couple of them first, so that he can savour the rest of it, then go for it. Whereas in this, he does seem a little bit more just like, nah, bring it on.
Yeah.
Get back here, I'm going to screw with you all. Which makes Henry Bowers' inclusion almost feel like a random extra tangent in this version. I think the only reason that didn't bother me is because I was looking forward to seeing it.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, they found a really inventive way of doing it. At no point does Pennywise appear to him or like a voice fill his head. He just sees the balloon, which is so well done. And then the corpse, the grinning, decaying corpse of Patrick, drives him around town, which is so
good.
And again, this is when people complain about the logic online. I see people saying like, "Well, how can you do this? How can you do that?" Guys, it's a fantasy horror story.
Also, Pennywise is Derry.
Pennywise can be over here eating summer and also be a corpse driving a car around that no one else can see apart from the guy who it's driving around. Like, there can still be a thing. That can still be a thing. Yeah, but I think I'll be honest. I think that is a minor fault of the film not re-establishing that in part 2 as much as in part 1, and that might be why it's confused some people or put them off. But God, I love let's see what weird hallucinations or weird monsters we can do stuff. That is my jam with this story. It's one of the reasons why I love it. It's because I like seeing, the horror scenarios develop.
Yeah,
and they definitely do develop because the guys all get the phone call from Mike. They don't, mercifully, I think, they don't do what the TV movie does, which is phone call, flashback.
Which the book also does.
Yeah. It actually, I think they anticipated people's weariness of that a little by just cutting to the fucking chase.
But it does, the very opening
very
of it,
quickly between each of them getting their phone calls.
The very opener of it is the oath scene from the end of the first film.
Yeah, with a few extra
dialogue.
Well, the very opening shot is Bev in the deadlights.
Yes.
So they're re-establishing the whole thing of like, it can kind of put you in a trance and put you out of commission and it happened to Bev, and that will be important.
Yeah.
Because, as we remember from the end of the last one, and they really regurgitate it here, Bev, whilst in her trance, kind of thinks she saw them all older. And then back there.
There's extra dialogue in this which implies that she saw them all dead.
Yeah.
Because you get that moment where Stan asks about himself, and she doesn't really...
She replies nicely, but she doesn't...
You can tell she's lying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's...
it's sort of the way they do it in the film is it could be that she's just lying about how he looks, because I think Richie asks a question about, like, am I handsome? She's like, you grow into your looks. And he's like, I think that's a compliment. and then Stanley says, like, do we all look good? And she's sort of like, yeah, you look great. And it's this like...
Just like you are now.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, yeah, that's what she says, which is not wrong, because the last time we physically see Stanley in some form, he looks like young Stanley.
Yeah.
With appendages. So, yeah, they set that up, and then they all get the phone call, and we sort of get, like, condensed versions of their lives that we're aware of. Bill gets sort of the most set up.
Yeah, because he's on the film set with Peter Bogdanovich directing his movie.
Yes. And Warner Brothers Lot 14. So he's making a horror movie with Warner Brothers based on one of his books.
Which all have terrible endings.
Which they keep bringing up when it's like, this is both an in-joke to It, specifically the reaction to the miniseries, but also to the works of Stephen King.
Who not only gets an extended cameo...
A very good extended cameo.
And gets in on the joke.
Yeah, takes the piss out of himself.
Because if there's one thing...
And it doesn't feel like a wink either.
No.
It works so well.
Stephen King is absolutely not afraid to be self-deprecating. He knows exactly what he's...
I wrote this high on cocaine. Yeah. I don't care if I have to insult myself.
I don't remember this.
I don't remember any of this shit.
It is like the last big novel of his cocaine period.
Yeah.
Which is why the book is so sprawling.
God, it's huge.
Because it's just... I've got this idea. I'm going to put this down, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, and then now we're going to do this, and we've got this idea, and this idea,
Giant spider!
Giant spider!
I'm going to have a nap now. Giant spider! Kids fucking! I'm going to sleep. It's like, oh, Stephen.
That is
Stephen, you dive bombed at the end, Stephen.
That is...
But yeah, so they take the mick out of that. His wife, Audra, appears in this scene, and this scene alone.
Yes, I don't know if that was because of the script or because...
Because in the book, of course, she follows on. And
yes, Iris Witzel was pregnant at the time.
Possibly, I think.
So it might be a bit of both.
I think it was just streamlining.
Yeah, because
it was just streamlining. Which is fine because it means that Silver still played a role in the movie in a rather wonderful sort of like couple of scenes.
Yeah,
but wasn't in that capacity.
It doesn't have the same impact it has in the other.
Plus,
versions.
It gave room for Stanley to be used more as the button at the end of the movie.
Yes.
Because this movie brilliantly decides that, hey, you fell in love with all of these characters.
Yeah.
And we have to kill one of them before we've even hit the 25-minute mark.
Mm-hmm.
But that does not mean this movie's going to forget about that character. We get a lot of Stanley in the flashbacks. A lot of their motivations, they find out, I think, they find out about the same time, don't they, in the story, as they do in the novel, that Stanley's dead.
In the novel, Mike knows before they meet for dinner.
Ah, okay. And they find out after dinner, or during dinner. Because in the TV one, they find out after dinner, they go back and try to call him at the library, which results in the head in the fridge, which we still get in this, kinda. In itself, a callback to the first movie, which is great.
Yeah.
And you know, so it's like Stanley is, you know, in the TV series they use it as a thing to be like, oh God, like, right, see, this has happened, we're all going, no, we can't do this. Whereas in this, Stanley is the thing that unites them. Their collective mourning over the friend that they were fated to never see in the flesh again. It becomes the thing that actually sort of keeps them there. Even when they're trying to go, he's the thing that grounds them. And so it's really nice, and they disperse him throughout the flashbacks so well.
And also you get...
that he still feels like he's part of the story.
You get the revelation that he knew that's what would need to happen. And that's why he did what he did.
Yeah, like I sat on that weirdly afterwards the more I thought about it, because I was like, hang on, but that means he remembers more than the rest of it. But I think that was just me interpreting it wrong.
No, he remembers more than the rest of them initially.
Because he was the closest to death.
Yeah.
Like, he was about to get eaten in the last one. He had a mouth around his face. He was going to go. He has probably had subliminal nightmares of this ever since he left Derry.
Apart from,
every day.
Apart from Bev, who was the closest to the Deadlights.
Yeah, who has nightmares specifically about them and their deaths. Whereas I think Stanley is the one, aside from Mike, who would have more of at least a guttural connection to the events of their childhood. So yeah, they imply at the end when they receive his letter, and it's like, oh god, he did a lot that evening, didn't he?
Yeah.
They imply
7 letters.
They receive his letters, and Bill is. They don't say it, but it looks like Bill is in his house in England, so it's you know.
Yeah.
So that letter took a while to get over there, but he implies essentially that like I know that to kill it we needed to be united, and I couldn't do it. Like I wouldn't be strong enough. So the best thing to that I would be a weakness. I would be an ace up its sleeve if I was there.
Yeah.
So I did the only logical thing, and I removed myself from the game completely. And I hope it helps, and I pray that it gave you the collective strength you needed to get it done. And it's like, oh, dude, that is the saddest fucking thing ever.
It really sticks the landing on the emotional core of these friends coming together after so long, and the power of the friendships that you forge in childhood and how they can affect you as an adult.
Because again,
which is part of so much of part of the story.
You also get the sense that because these guys are allowed at the end of this version, they're allowed to remember what happened.
Yeah,
you get, or at least remember the good stuff. Is again the implication
that
there was like, more good stuff to remember. So
yeah, there was more good. There was enough.
When in reality, it's the creature's dead, so the curse is gone.
Yeah,
like the vibe it has, the psychic hold it has, and everybody is weakening. That's
it just makes less sense.
Yeah.
It would make more sense that they remember that then.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. In this one, they do, don't they?
Yeah,
they recall it, which implies to me that this version of the Losers Club might actually get back together at some point.
Well, that is the implication that they remain friends.
Yeah, like Mike is calling Bill to let him know that like I've wrapped up here. I've quit me my deputy librarian job, whatever here.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna move somewhere else, and I'll keep in touch. It's like, oh, and Ben and Bev are off on a boat, sunning themselves.
Yeah. They do go off together in the book.
I don't think we see Richie go back to work, but we see Richie go back to the bridge one more time before he goes home.
And that's very sweet.
Which is very sweet. So the Losers Club get together at the Chinese restaurant.
Jade of the Orient.
I was so looking forward to it because it is one of my favourite scenes from the book. And it is fucking great.
I'm currently in the audiobook version of that scene. In my listening of the audiobook.
I don't remember it. The version read by Stephen Webber.
Stephen Webber, yeah.
Lucy wants to download that, but you can't download that one on your Audible trial to the app because it's so
I
big.
did.
I think you have to, don't you download it and it goes into your music app.
No, they must have changed it.
Because it's like a 14-hour adaptation, and it's $29.99.
Oh no,
if you want to buy it.
No, because I use my free credit for the Stand audiobook, which is even longer.
Okay.
But I think what I did is I got it
on your subscription.
I got it cheaper. Because I think I did buy it, but I got it cheaper because I already have the Kindle version.
Oh.
So they do that if you already have the Kindle version.
Yeah.
You can add the audiobook for a massive discount.
Oh, that's pretty good. I just said to a stud that I'll read it to you every night. I'm sure that result in marital bliss. I read you a chapter of it every night.
Oh, it's.
But that scene is God. The whole like you don't even recognize a line from one of your shows. I have writers. I fucking knew it!
Yeah, and immediately, again, this is why the adult performers are so good, all those character relationships are there instantly.
Yeah, well, once they remember. Which is only a couple of lines of dialogue between each of them before they're like,
And they just back into the groove straight away. There's Richie and Eddie bullshitting each other. Bill sort of being the nominal quiet leader. Ben just being warm and interested in everyone. And
just thankful to be there amongst these people that he likes spending time with. And Bev is, again, she's kind of like the one who grounds them and takes the piss a little bit. Takes the piss out of everybody a little bit. And it's like, this is really cool. And you do start to forget that Stanley's not there for a bit, even though we, the audience, have seen what became of him.
Yeah.
Did you spot... Do you remember very briefly when she's on the phone and you see a flash of the bathroom and, like, the medics in the bathroom and police report? You see it for a flash. It's like fraction flash on the screen of when Bev's on the phone.
I did not spot that at all.
It's really brief, and in it...
Like subliminal, almost.
Yeah, and in it, top left corner, if I remember correctly... On the wall, next to the bath.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw the bathroom.
Yeah.
I didn't see the paramedics and such.
Right. No,
but I saw the bathroom.
There's a bit where you see people around, but you saw the words on the wall.
Yeah, because you don't get it
in the
when
film.
you see him. Because
the titular it that is sort of the. I think that's the first time it's referred to as that in the book as well, isn't it? Like where it's like definitively just like it. Like
but
this is what they call it
early
in
on.
heads.
Then
yeah. It's like, oh shit. Which is quite cool because I'm like, there it is. And
again,
it's an iconic moment.
Yeah.
But you sort of forget Stanley's not there. And that's very well done because it's only when they start to go like, where is he?
And then we have the fortune cookie moment, which leads into the first big encounter with it as adults, as it throws all these hallucinations at them in the restaurant.
Like the decomposed severed heads of kids
in the
singing.
Fish tank. Yeah.
Finally, we hear oranges and lemons being sung within a scene by something.
It is just the things that come out of the fortune. The word puzzle is nice and subtle.
That's great.
And then they just instantly crank it up as soon as they work out what the word puzzle says.
Guess Stanley didn't cut it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh god, and like it knows. It knows that he's no longer there. But yeah, like, we get my favourite, the baby bird. I love the baby bird.
Baby bird with a baby's head.
Oh no, that was like the fly. It was like it was like a beetle or a mosquito or something.
Mosquito with a baby's head.
With a little baby's head crying.
Yeah, sure.
The eyeball, and the eyeball gets some sort of
creeping eyeball
tendrils, like nerve endings. We get like the hot tar. Again, spilling out from the plates on top of the table on the spinning
burning into them
on the Lazy Susan.
The lazy, I love it. Lazy Susan.
It's proper fucking creepy.
Just
and again, he doesn't show up even though they remember him a few minutes prior.
Yeah,
so like someone says Pennywise, and I think it's Richie then goes like, "Oh," and Eddie immediately starts supping on his inhaler.
But Richie and Eddie both immediately, as soon as they realise why they've come back, they're like, "Yeah, we're not doing this."
Yeah,
and they spend
it's
the
like
next
2 hours into them just having dinner and catching up, reminiscing. Does it start to dawn like, why did we all answer Mike's call? Why did it scare us so much?
Because unlike the book,
to come back
in the book, they remember a lot of it on the way there.
Yeah, whereas here it's sort of they know something's wrong. They know they made a promise and they have to go back.
But they don't know why. Until Mike starts to explain it.
Yeah.
At which point Richie and Eddie both check out like, no, we're not doing this.
Like, no,
and then spend the next hour of the film trying to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah. Yeah.
it's yeah.
Yeah. Then you get them leaving the restaurant after the patrons and the staff clearly don't mind the yelling.
Yeah, because of course Bill starts to smash up the fucking table. Just, get the check, please.
You get the first appearance of kid actor, as I like to call him, because he is the one kid actor that recurs throughout the film, who says
skateboard kid.
Yeah, he says something to them on the way out that sounds vaguely. So it's like the show's just beginning.
The fun's just getting started.
It's getting started, and it's like, oh god, and it completely reliant on the score. And Richie starts threatening him till he realizes it's a line from one of his shows, and the kid's parents come and collect him. But it's like, okay. And that's in the parking lot where they find out that Stanley's
Bev calls
Stanley, the
Patricia.
house, or whatever number they've got, and oh good
lord,
oh
my.
Hard way to find out. So that's when they double down. Yep, we're getting the fuck out of Dodge. Except Bill is there long enough for Mike to be like, come back, just let me show you one thing, and then if you want to leave, you can leave and I won't stop you, but please, like, you've got to see one thing. That's when Mike drugs Bill.
And then we get
because we see the library briefly, and it's redecorated, it's reconfigured. It looks different, but there's one shot when he first starts to follow him into the hallway to go to Miggy, where it's like, oh, I know geographically where we are. That's the room. That's the corridor Ben walks down in the first one. He's following the eggs. Okay, nicely done, Phil. Nice subtle bit of geography there. And he goes to his apartment in the sort of the attic. The bell tower part of the...
Which is new. That's not in either of the previous versions. I
quite like it. I like the idea that Mike has a base of operations so intrinsically linked to his research that he's just moved into the version of part of the library that he works in.
This version of Mike is much more conspiracy nut. Oh. Like, the other versions of Mike are definitely consumed by local history and the idea of it and finding out where it came from and working out how to stop it, but not in the sort of almost fevered... conspiracy theorist way that this version of Mike is, which is it's a neat twist. It
works well. And
it just gives him more to do. It gives him a bit more. It gives Azar for a bit more to sink his teeth into.
Yeah,
and it gives him and it just raises the stakes a bit.
So he's been researching for so long that he has, I guess, a gourd would be the best way to describe it. From Native American people, or at least descendants of Native American people.
Shopiqua? I'm not sure is a real tribe.
That are living in the outskirts of Derry.
Yeah.
Who are, I guess it's kind of implied that, like, they don't want to be in Derry because they know, but they can't leave it.
They're the descendants of the first people to come into contact with it.
The entity.
Yeah.
And after drugging Bill using Maturin root, it's like, name drop, turtle. That is it, guys. That's it, folks. That's it. That's all we get.
Turtle root.
That is all we get, folks. But it's enough to be like, okay, all right, Machete, fine. Apparently, there was more planned for him.
I can believe that.
They cut it out of the first from day one. Like, Machete was like, no, it's too much for the first installment. And then for number 2, when they were drumming up the story, there was more to it. And then to streamline the story, they went, no, we'll take it out. So, once again, your space turtle is a casualty. But the Maturin root sort of helps Bill see what Mike saw, which is the first time they, quote-unquote, defeated Pennywise.
Yeah.
They contained him in a ritual of Chewed, and they contained him, and that's what we have to do. This works. We have to use this thing that I have nicked. It will work.
Yeah.
Okay, what do we need to do? Well, it turns out what they need to do at first is reunite, get them together. The second thing is to remember, which is why he's really trying to harp on about the remembering everything that happened.
Yeah.
And the third thing is they need to put part of their experience into the gourd, like they need to set it on fire.
Yeah.
Which essentially becomes Totem Quest. Mike's like, right, you've all got to go off and bring back something.
A token.
That connects you to this, like something that's connected to this or to us in some way that is important. It has to be an important item of some kind.
Yeah.
The others reluctantly agree because they find out via what Bev says that she's seen visions of them dying within the next 20 years. She doesn't say it specifically. She's like, if we stay here, we might die. If we leave here and do nothing, this curse is still going to kill us in some way within the next 20 years. Implying that before they all hit 60, they're all going to die prematurely in some way. So, which is, I didn't know how I felt about that exactly, because it almost felt like a selfish ticking time bomb. It was like, oh, well, I guess we better save these children that are being killed.
Yeah. Well, Bill doesn't need that motivation at first.
Yeah.
No, he does actually.
At first, but then Bill sees like what can be done, and he's like, "No, I believe Mike. We can just do it."
Once Bill understands the stakes, he's not about preserving himself. He's about saving as many children as he can.
Yeah. Whereas the rest of them
which Pennywise uses to its advantage.
Yes. Oh, good lord! Because we realise it's inbuilt guilt.
Yes.
That though he may not have remembered for years why he felt it, he always felt it.
Yeah.
In this, they don't imply he forgot Georgie. in this they imply that he always remembered he lost his brother young.
Which I think, again, he remembers that in the book. He remembers that his brother died young, but doesn't remember why or how.
Yeah. The TV movie, they completely erased Georgie. Like, the further he got away from Derry, the less he remembered he even had a younger brother.
Yeah.
Which is why we get the graveyard scene in the miniseries where he goes to visit Georgie's grave. And we get one of Tim Curry's most memorable moments. So in this one, they now know that that's what they've got to do. So the first things first, they go to somewhere to remember, and they go to the clubhouse, which was never mentioned in the first film. Ever. And this is where I think some people did disconnect. They were like, wait, hang on.
Yeah.
How much did they get up to? Like, all these flashback scenes to things we never saw. We have to remember, the first film takes place over the course of like a 7-8 week
an entire summer, yeah.
We don't see
There's
the entire 7 weeks. We see like maybe 7 days worth of that period over the course of the first movie.
There's a skip from the first visit to Nivalt Street and Eddie breaking his arm, which is the first couple of weeks of August, to September.
Yeah,
when they all go back together again.
Which is pretty much all the individual flashbacks take place during that part. If I remember correctly.
Yeah.
The clubhouse stuff takes part during those first couple of weeks where they get to know each other and become friends.
I think they say it's where they go after the rock fight.
Yes, because Mike's with them.
Yeah, so I think it's literally they meet up with Mike and then Ben takes him to the clubhouse, which he's built in the meantime.
So it's after that. It's after the Welcome to the Losers Club.
Yeah.
Conversation walking past the train tracks.
Yeah.
So they all these scenes do fit because in. I can understand why it's jarring if you're like, I know that first film so well, it feels weird, but it's like
I've seen it around a couple of places that some of that a good chunk of that clubhouse stuff was shot from chapter 1.
Already existed, showing off Ben's architecture skills.
Yeah.
Long before he, of course, becomes an architect.
Yep. Because they don't have the dam scene.
Yes.
In the film, which is where you first see that in the book.
Yeah, like that's his thing.
It just instinctively knows how to build a working dam.
You get a hint of it in the first one, in the fact that he makes like what's the building called again? You only see
the standpipe. He makes the model of the standpipe. Yeah. Like
they don't dwell on it, but it's like it's there. So there's these suggestions that like, oh, he's interested in architecture and buildings, and so it's like okay. Whereas this one, it's like, yeah, he's so interested in building stuff that he built a clubhouse underground.
Yeah.
And it's where we get our first token, which is Stanley's shower caps in a coffee tub, because he got everyone shower caps so they didn't get spiders in their hair. The film's first mention of spiders.
Yes.
Which I noticed afterwards, they get mentioned quite a bit.
They love their spiders.
It's like the film was preparing us, which is quite nice. So yeah, it's and they all talk about like he was old before his time, and that's kind of the last bit where they're like, oh, we have to do this. Like we have to do this. Like otherwise Stanley killed himself for nothing. We have to make this right. So off they go to get their own totems. We learn later, what was Mike's? What
was Mike's?
It's a rock from the rock fight.
Yes, it's still got Henry Bowers' blood on it.
Yes, so that was Mike's. We learn that later because we don't see him have a separate. This is where Isaiah Mustafa takes a bit of a break for like a 30-minute spell.
Then now we get the series of. This is where we get
Beverly kid flashback.
We get.
And then adult scene immediately afterwards. Yeah,
so we get Beverly visiting Mrs. Kirsch.
Oh God,
we get Richie
save
in the
that
park.
for a moment. I want to go deep on that.
Richie in the park with it. We get Eddie visiting the pharmacy
by the Paul Bunyan statue.
Eddie visiting the pharmacy with old Mr. Keane, who may or may not be a hallucination. And
they don't really do anything with that in this one, do they? In the film. I don't even think he says anything ominous, does he? He's just weird.
No, he's like, oh, that cancer, the lump on his face, it could be cancer.
Yeah.
Which is then where he later gets stabbed.
Yes, of course. Oh, yeah. I've got to say, that is one of the very few instances where I think the miniseries does a better job with it. I think the miniseries thing where he meets him and he's clearly like deep into dementia.
Yeah.
And then just suddenly starts telling him to leave and threatening him in the voice of Tim Curry.
Yeah.
And then slips back into dementia. And because when he grabs him, his like hands are different sort of like texture and everything. And all this thing just slips back. It's like, Oh, that's freaky.
But you get a flashback to an encounter with the leper and
his
mother
like
in the
shortly
basement.
after his broken arm was cast. Because we get more of, I can't remember her name.
Molly Atkinson.
Yeah, of course. Oh god.
We also get the girl who signed his cast, grown up running the pharmacy.
Yes.
And looking
which is nice because they don't make a thing of her recognising him or anything like that. There's none of that. It's just like, oh shit, she's still there and still chewing gum.
And then we get the encounter with the leper in the basement with the angel.
Like the leper is like strapped in as though it's been kept prisoner, and his mum is somehow hostage.
And then the angel music cue, which is just brilliant.
But it's a key moment as well because he starts choking the leper.
Yeah.
And he feels it dying. Like he feels it gasping for air and slowing down in his grip. And then it pukes on him and that freaks him out and it disappears and he moves on. But that's key information because later on he's like, no, it definitely abides by the laws. Like when it was a weak, dying, diseased man, I choked it and he started to die. Mm-hmm. So we can hurt it. It's possible. It has to abide by the laws of the form it takes.
We get Bill finding silver in an old antique shop.
Where he meets Stephen
King. Run by Stephen King. And they
charged him $300 for his old bike because he could afford it.
Because he's a writer. Just Stephen King just being an old...
You're the writer, you can afford it.
An old curmudgeonly Maine man, complete with Maine accents.
So Stephen King.
So Stephen King.
Minus the cocaine.
Brilliant in it.
And then he rides Silver and finds that grid in the pavement and the sidewalk. And in a moment of absolute ridiculous misjudgment, believes that Georgie is in there.
Yeah.
And reaches to go get him. And I think that was there to just reestablish the idea that these hallucinations are so potent.
Yeah.
But it was almost like, come on, Bill, don't be a fucking idiot. Your baby brother is not still a young kid in that grid. Like, get the fuck away from it.
But then he does get the boat.
But he does get the boat, so he just takes something from it and he keeps it, and that becomes his totem. But he warns that kid as well. Oh, it's when Pennywise talks to him but doesn't appear.
Yeah.
And he just basically says, like, yeah, you did it. You killed him. Like, I am here, and I'm going to stay here, and this is how it's going to be. And you're like, Jesus! Mm-hmm. And then he sees that kid and becomes crazy old man yelling at children.
Old man yells at Grid.
He's like, you get out of there, you hear? It's like, Jesus Christ, Bill.
Yeah, he's kind of unhinged in this. Well, they compress everything. Everything takes place over a much shorter period of time than it does in the book or the miniseries. So everything's much more urgent.
It's just this was ticking clock sort of thing. Yeah. It's like they get there the next day, and within a day they've got everything they need.
Yeah.
So Ben goes back to school, and we see a flashback to him doing some like summer classes, I guess, because the school's mostly closed up and there's only a few of the kids there.
Yeah, and it's him
and Bev shows up to sort of flirt with him. She's there to have a secret cigarette in the school.
Yeah.
And then you realise it isn't Bev. And her hair is winter fire. Literally
flaming skull Bev doing the same sort of weird jilty motion as the headless boy.
Yes.
In the first one.
Yes.
Chasing Ben down and
Sophia Lillis being given a chance to be like, do you want to be the monster? You're going to be the monster. Here we go.
Both her and Jaden, what's his name, get that in this?
Jaden Stanley.
No, Bill, young Bill.
Oh, when does he appear as a monster? I'm having a
moment. When he sees himself, when they revisit the basement scene from the first one.
Yeah. Oh, and also Stanley, of course, gets a
of course,
a featured feature moment.
Yes.
Because Eddie got one in the first one as well, didn't he? Where his head pops out of the mattress.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so this Bev chases him. He hides in his locker, and then Pennywise appears behind him in his locker and declares, as goofily as his predecessor, "Kiss me, fat boy." And then Ben bursts out of the locker.
Yeah, it's quite good.
So what is it? He doesn't take anything in the end, does he? Like he just gets the fuck out of there.
Because he's already got it.
But yes, afterwards he sort of realises. He looks at it briefly before this, but I think it's in the scene where they put stuff in. He kind of is like, "Oh my god, like I've had it the whole time." He realises
what it was,
which is the yearbook page signed by Bev in his wallet. Richie goes back to somewhere he vaguely remembers being traumatised by, and then has a full-on flashback, which is the Paul Bunyan statue coming alive and trying to kill him. Which, I'll be honest, There is no way to make that not look goofy. I think they found the coolest way to pull it off, and it was still goofy. But it worked, especially when its nose crumbled in and it just sort of looked more like a laughing jack. It looked like a jack-o'-lantern. It was like a pumpkin face.
But then you also get the creepy bit about that saying is the encounter with Pennywise immediately afterwards.
Yeah, where he's just sat on the statue's shoulders and everyone in the background's out of focus and swaying.
I know your secret, your dirty little secret, and it's just
that's weird. Although I will say, my favourite accidentally hilarious moment in the movie is the end of that when Richie legs it and Pennywise is like, come back, whatever, down the barrel of the camera.
Yeah. And
his face starts to wop and it's really cool, but then they hold on it for like just 2 seconds too long. And I remember just going, I was just like, it went from being creepy to being kind of dumb.
Yeah.
because
this is weird.
It needed to snap away to something sooner. But it was still fun. And again, it was like a testament to how threatening Skarsgård comes across. Because there's Pennywise in not just broad daylight, like oversaturated daylight.
Yeah.
Like they make him look super colourful and you can see all of him. And there he is, like completely exposed.
Well, it's that shot from the trailer where he's gliding through the sky and all the balloons.
But it's great because it's setting the whole thing of like, okay. There's something else Richie's like scared of here.
Yeah.
What is that? And again, you don't really get any allusion to it at all until we have a brief flashback of, and I think this is done to help set up something to do with Bowers, isn't it? We see a flashback of Richie in the arcade. Oh no, we see it before he gets the Bunyan statue. It's the start of that flashback.
This is what leads to the Bunyan encounter.
That's it, yeah. You see him playing Street Fighter next to Mortal Kombat, which is there because it's also owned by Warner Brothers, but is inaccurate as fuck. It's there 5 years earlier than it should be.
It should be Street Fighter 2 next to Mortal Kombat. And put 989
Mortal Kombat, yeah. It's like, god damn it. But
whatever.
But yeah, he's playing Street Fighter with this kid, who you realise is the young cousin of Henry Bowers visiting from out of town.
Yeah.
And in front of everybody, Richie gets basically told to, piss off, F word. And...
yeah.
He leaves. And you realise that he's really hurt. He was bonding with this kid. And the way it plays in that moment is you sort of think of it maybe as like, oh, he's found a friend. Yeah. After they've all split up and you know, because you can see his glasses, he's got the scuff on the glasses and stuff. So this is after the breakup.
Well, that's what he does after the whole break with the group is just go and play Street Fighter. Yeah. Because that was his original plan for the summer.
Yeah, that's true. So it's like, oh, they play it that way. But then they do briefly later on show Richie carving something into the bridge, the kissing bridge.
Kissing bridge.
And you're like, huh, wonder if we'll go back to that.
But you don't see the second initial.
Nope, but we go back to it. Because from that I was like, oh.
They're going to play with his sexuality here.
They're going to play with his sexuality, and it's something to do with that kid, but then they get more specific later.
Yeah.
And it's freaking beautiful.
And it recontextualises the Eddie and Richie relationship, and it just... in a really, really magical way.
I'm not gonna rant, but I will say this. One of the things I have seen since people sort of talking about this, saying, oh my god, like putting a gay storyline in where it wasn't before, like seriously. Like, these things weren't here. Like, stop forcing them in, to which I want to say, my dudes, because it is mostly dudes, gay people have always been here.
They've always been here.
Just because they've been underrepresented and shunned in media, especially, does not mean that they are going to cater to your preset of not wanting them mentioned.
Also, what kind of fucking monster do you have to be to see that relationship in the film and then not be moved by the way that it ends?
So bloody well.
Like by the way that. I mean, we'll get to it when we get towards the climax of the movie. Yeah, let's motor along. Let's motor along.
People suck. But yeah, let's talk about Bev, because holy shit.
That Mrs. Kirsch sequence is...
again, one of my faves from the book.
Yeah.
I like the miniseries version of it a lot. This is the best take on it. It's so we don't get the blood tea.
No.
But we okay, right.
So get this giant.
It's not a house, it's the apartment, as it was the last one. She rocks up, she rings the bell for Marsh, fully expecting... because again, they kind of allude to the idea that she doesn't remember her dad's dead. Because she knocks on, it's Marsh, and she's expecting
I think what it is that...
because when she says, like, oh no, dear, he passed away, she's sort of like, oh, of course, she sort of like, oh, of course, yeah.
I'm thinking actually maybe but she doesn't kill him.
Maybe
in that first movie. But if he's just what if she gets put into?
Well, she goes to live with her aunt.
Yeah, she goes to live with her aunt in Portland.
In a different town. Yeah, but again, the film plays the idea that Bev has sort of sought out abusive people in her life over the years, almost to fill the void of her dad not being there anymore.
Yeah.
So I kind of got the feeling that he died, like, or at least
yeah. My initial
was gone shortly after. And she's genuinely like, oh, when she finds out he's gone.
Yeah.
But she rings on for Marsh. An old lady answers. Really nice. And I saw this. I can't remember who it was. I think it was Mr. Sunday Movies did an Easter egg video, where the first time you hear Mrs. Kirsch speak, it's Bill Skarsgård.
Oh.
It's very and they play the clip from the trailer. It's very subtle, but it's like that is either Bill Skarsgård or is that's Bill's voice mixed in.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, but it's not obvious. It's like an old woman voice.
Yeah.
But the voice is different the moment she comes into the light. It's like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
So she looks at the thing. Oh, no, it actually says Kirsch. Oh, this lady's been living here for like 10, 15 years at this point. Oh, okay. Oh, she invited me in for a brew. All right, fine. And then she sort of accepts it. And the lady's very pleasant and nice. And they don't really use this opportunity to go into her fear of witches, do they? Like the way they do in the source.
I don't think they really...
Because in the book, doesn't her teeth go all weird and...
I don't think that's necessarily a witch thing, though, as it is just...
Oh, no, but I mean, like, in this, they don't do that so much. They go more for, like, modern-day creepy CGI hag kind of angle. Although, not that CGI.
No.
Mostly practical.
Yeah.
Xavier Botet, you absolute genius.
Once again, doing his creepy magic.
Creepy magic. He reprises the role of the leper in this and plays Mrs. Kirsch. Who I think is credited as Hag.
Yeah, I believe so.
But yes, so she moseys around the apartment a bit and remembers a hiding hole behind the thingy, which again is one of the other thingies of spiders. She opens it and she moves a cobweb out of the way.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, there's a spider motif throughout the whole movie. And she, pulls out a few things, including a pack of smokes. And... The postcard.
The postcard.
With Ben's poem.
All taped together because it's been folded and unfolded so many times. It's just come to pieces.
Which is gorgeous because it's like that happened between scenes.
Yeah.
In the last one, like for that, because she moved out shortly after and forgot to take it with her or left it there or what have you. It's like, wow, she read it and kept it on her that much even then. Which is a nice sort of visual, just sort of weird juxtaposition between that and the yearbook page. The yearbook page looks almost new because he's always kept it, but he's not really touched it. He's like, I've got to keep this for some reason, and I don't know why. He's kept it.
Yeah, because how many wallets must he have had in that 27 years?
Yeah.
He's a very rich man.
He's a very rich man who wears pants to his Skype meetings.
I love that. I love that sort of... And it's in loads of things, like the shorthand for buttoned-up business type who's actually really not into all that stuff.
Yeah.
Where, he's on the Skype call in his suit.
Yeah.
And then you go to the wide on his end, and below the table where he's not visible, he's just in jeans and bare feet.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
But then Mrs. Kirsch brings us some cookies and tells us stories about her father and disappears into the kitchen, and you realise that...
Just scampering around naked.
Is Mrs. Kirsch based off of a young lady who used to live in Derry, who may or may not have been the daughter of the man who the creature has decided to... I mean, it could just be him fucking around, but the fact that we then see... And I saw... I think it's on IMDb or Wikipedia... this form is credited as Bob Gray.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they do, like, they never say it, but they allude to his most sort of other frequent alias from the book.
Yeah.
But I think they are suggesting that, yeah, there was a guy who he took the form from directly. He decided, like, there was a Pennywise the Dancing Clown who was like, that's my new favourite.
And even before the grease paint,
yeah,
still had a weirdly shaped head and constantly drooling.
It's
like,
Well, it's nice because you sort of it's the series excuse to be like, here's Bill Skarsgård.
Yeah.
Like, here he is on screen, looking like himself, albeit with some prosthetic or digitally thinned hair at the front, but here he is. Like, that's the face of the guy. You know that guy's been terrifying you guys for the last 2 films? There he is.
And he's still pretty terrifying.
Still pretty terrifying, especially when he starts going, oh, he's like, oh my god, what the hell are you doing? He carves the makeup into his face.
So we get that and the hag in the same
who's got
scene.
mouths in her neck.
Mouths in her neck.
Are you still Daddy's little girl, Beverly?
Let's motor through this because we don't want to just do the whole plot beat by beat. We get that. We get and that's all.
To get them
stuff.
totems, there's a brief distraction before they head back to Nebolt, which is
Henry gets out of the asylum.
Henry gets out of the asylum and stabs Eddie in the cheek.
Which is it's just the way he just stands there and he's like, and sort of shuffles.
Like, the hell do I do? Yeah, and Henry's just laughing because he's like, this is fucking hilarious.
James Ransone is just wonderful in this. He's got that perpetual rabbit caught in headlights look the whole time.
Henry gets away, only to attack Mike Buck Styley later. But then new twist, Richie pickaxes him through the head.
Yeah, they act that storyline.
Who played Old Henry?
Teach Grant.
He's believably the same.
Brilliant!
Again, he's believably the same kid, older, and he's very much playing it based on. If he had any inspiration, he's very much playing it based off of the way Henry acts when he's sort of like under the influence for that last 20 minutes.
His mind is broken by Pennywise, and it remains broken in that sense for 27 years.
Yeah,
because you get after we do earlier on.
Even the walk, he does that weird sort of walk.
Because after we get the flashback of him emerging from the sewers, we then get the flashback of him returning home and being arrested.
Yeah. And the only kind of emotion he shows outside of just being this weird, giggly, delirious little thing is just when he bawls laughing.
Yeah.
Which is when he first comes out the sewers in the flashback. And then in this, when he's like seen the balloon and he just starts cackling. And it's like, oh shit. That stuff works really well. There is an interlude where Bill leaves to go and rescue the kid because he realises after the skateboard shows up, he realises that Pennywise is going to kill that boy now to make a point. Of like, you are going to do, not only are you not going to change a damn thing.
Nope.
You are going to be responsible for the death of another young kid.
And then we get the film killing off children brutally once again.
We get our Tim Curry nod. The swinging clowns are dressed
that poor
in the outfit from the TV
explodes like a fucking melon.
Oh, it's horrific, and I love it. I freaking love it. My favourite visual gag, as it were, in the movie for me, Pennywise smacking his head repeatedly against the glass.
Yeah.
God damn it, that made me feel uncomfortable.
It's really creepy.
It's horrifying.
There's just something inhuman about the motion of it. It's not...
And especially the fact that there's no damage to him.
No.
Like, you see a human being smash into glass, your brain goes, right, are they bleeding? Are they cut? Are they... No, he's not.
Billy's giving it everything he's got to try and get through his end of the glass.
And it barely makes a scrape. And then Pennywise smashes through and chomps this child to death.
And it's the when you first see him with the massive tongue.
Yeah.
Just licking. Oh, it's so creepy.
Because you realise that's Pennywise's angle. He's like, Bill feels guilty for Georgie's death. He thinks it was his fault. And we find out later, because he was pretending to be ill.
Yes.
He didn't want to play with him that day.
Yeah, so basically the next big thing that happens when they all go to confront it, and we get the Ritual of Chewed, and it doesn't work. We find out it doesn't work.
Well, just before the Ritual of Chewed, we get a reappearance of Stanley.
Oh yes, the house in Nebolt Street.
After we found out from a flashback that he ended his bar mitzvah by basically saying like, because becoming a man means not being who I am now.
Yeah.
Who I'm proud to be, as ridiculous and cowardly and worried and anxious as I am all the time. I'm proud to be who I am. I'm proud to be a loser. If doing this means leaving that behind, then fuck it. And it's like, oh my god, you get to see Stanley's hurrah, which is why it's so heartbreaking to think how defeated he was.
Yeah.
By their first encounter in the sewers with him, because it's like, oh god, like Stanley was so confident in who he was, and then it broke him, and no wonder he like couldn't face it again.
And again, more footage that was shot for the first film.
When Richie stands up and applauds, and his mum just like pulls him down. First sighting of one of Richie's parents as well.
Yep.
In both movies.
Yep.
They get there and that fridge opens, obviously to try and intimidate them, because the last time that fridge opened, Eddie was lying there with a broken arm as a contorted Pennywise.
What this does with the repeated beats is it starts it off the same and then takes it in a different direction. It's really smart. It lets it reuse the same things and play with your expectations.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get a Stanley's head falling out the fridge, which then grows spider legs, which are the same as the spider legs from the first film, and we get a 1982 The Thing reference with Richie looking dead at it and going, "You gotta be fucking kidding."
It's when the mandibles of it don't come out of his mouth. His mouth's got some Pennywise teeth, because it is, as we sort of realise at the end of the scene when it crawls away, that's Pennywise.
Oh yeah,
that is the thing in that. That's the form it's taken at this moment. It gets the Pennywise mouth, but the mandibles come out the sides of its fucking eyes.
Some of the feet don't even touch the ground.
And they've got little baby hands at the bottom of them as well.
But they're not there for any other reason. They're not there for any other reason than just to look creepy.
Yeah.
It has more legs than it needs.
Yeah, and it's scuttling around and it attacks Richie and spitting all over him, and it's fucking disgusting. It hides in the rafters. It's like, where'd it go? Oh, there it is.
Just
as it leaps down.
Jumps down. Again, black comedy.
Oh, God.
Courtesy of Bill Hader.
But as we're watching it, I was like, oh, this is them doing the giant spider. Like, they're going to do something completely different.
But it's also,
for its final form.
The reason why it's a smart reference to The Thing.
Yeah.
Stanley's head in the fridge, reference to The Thing.
Yeah.
The guy who plays Old Stanley in the original 90s It.
Yeah.
Plays Clark in The Thing.
Oh, shit! Sorry. Shit. It! Yeah! I didn't even make that connection.
Neither did I.
My God, that's amazing.
Until I was doing some research for this episode, I did not make that connection at all.
That is them going, this film is definitely full of tributes to the 80s. Let's just make them line up. Sod it. Let's just make them line up.
It's like, why the fuck not?
So they head back down into the sewer, and we see Pennywise's lair, and the big mound of toys is gone now, and it is just a trapdoor on a stage.
And it's the trapdoor from the book with the symbol.
Yeah, Bev briefly gets attacked by the hag again.
Yes.
And apparently that is a cut scene. Like, there is more to that. Because they shot footage of her wrestling with this creature underwater, and yeah, like Jessica Chastain injured her leg, I think, shooting it.
I'm not surprised. It gets pretty physical.
So it's. I wouldn't be surprised if in this extended cut or a future re-release we get more of that sequence. Yeah. But yeah, they head on down into caverns through the trapdoor and through a very narrow gap in the rock, which becomes a plot point later.
Yep.
And they perform the Ritual of Chewed by putting their objects in. Richie's one is a token.
Yeah.
For the arcade. Where does he find it? Oh, he just takes it from the arcade, doesn't he?
Token machine.
Because the cinema and the arcade have gone to shit and been abandoned.
Yeah, they're abandoned.
We totally forgot my favourite thing when Bev leaves the apartment and turns around.
And it's the burned out apartment. Yeah.
Burned out apartment. It's like, oh my God, that is so wonderfully eerie. I love it. So they get there and they burn their individual things, and
the idea being that this ritual will trap the dead lights in this container,
and they don't make a big thing. We've seen the effects of the dead lights before, and we see something they can do in this one.
Yeah.
But there's only like one line where Mike just says, "Don't look at them.
Yeah.
Close your eyes." And it's like, okay, because again, the film doesn't do what the TV movie also didn't do, which is it doesn't at any point say, that's the creature.
Yeah. It's implied.
It's implied,
they don't
especially when they're trying to trap it.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's working. They're being pulled down. They're doing the chant. He tells them to chant them in. They keep doing it.
Can I also just say how much I love that the tunnel, the crater created by it falling to Earth, moves and undulates like a giant throat.
Yes.
That
fucking
is creepy.
So gnarly.
So it's like you're almost... It mirrors the... When you see the dead lights in the first film, when it's right down its gullet and it opens its mouth all the way wide, Beetlejuice style, like Alec Baldwin in Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
And
this one carries it on, doesn't it? The idea that it never has the reason why it's not been killable. It never has the dead lights are never nearby.
No,
they're always somewhere else, and it kind of projects them, or you see a peep at them.
Yeah.
And like you say, it's the mimicking of the throat.
Yeah.
Just the fact that in a couple of the ridges there's like teeth that is horrible. But they're dragging it down and it's working. It is working. And then last second the creature makes one last bid for freedom.
It's just
as this balloon starts to grow.
Oh, it's in so the gourd, good.
And it grows, and then explodes and temporarily deafens everybody as a giant balloon popping near your ears would do.
Yeah.
And then we get probably the creepiest visual of Pennywise in the whole movie, which is him peering behind the shards of the crater.
Yeah.
And it you don't really see a full wide shot to get it, but it's like he's big. He's huge. Tall. He's like at least 15 feet tall. And he gets Mike to confess something, which is why one side of the gourd just has sort of like a plain scratched out kind of surface instead of carvings like the rest of it, which is it depicted the ritual not working because when it happened before, and it's great because it's like, why didn't Bill question that? Like, hang on, you said it worked before, why is it still...
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it never worked before because they didn't believe, they were still scared. And it essentially implying that what's just happened, like, they were still in some doubt about it. They weren't together. They weren't united enough. And they died. Like, the original tribe died. They were killed. So it sort of shows it as a thing of, like, these tentacles just kind of coming out the gun and stabbing everyone.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god. So Pennywise is now like, I'm not going to let you leave here. I'm going to kill you. I might eat you. Here we go. Let's Ruddy go.
But this is also where you get the weird battle in the centre of the mind stuff because you get everyone's sort of separate visions of... Yeah. Well, not everyone's... Like, because...
Richie and Eddie are together. They get a repeat gag of the scenario from the first one that Richie
not scary at all. Very scary.
With Betty Ripson. And I haven't checked, but I wonder if the actress credited is the same actress who played her in the first one.
Yeah, because
that would be brilliant. Because in the first one, we see the top half of Betty Ripson. Because you hear her go... Has anyone seen my shoe?
Where's my shoe?
And we see the top half of her dangling from like some chains. Yeah. And in this one, we hear that again, and the lower half runs out. It
toddles out
in one wearing one shoe, which is fucking great.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh,
and someone is credited as Betty Ripson's legs.
And I hope it's the same actor. Simply just so
I'm going to find out.
Just she can be like, I was in both films. I played Betty Ripson.
Yeah,
both halves. But that's great. So like, yeah, Eddie and Richie don't really get a full on hallucination. They get an obstacle. They get a game. They get chased by a Lovecraftian tendril, and then they're faced with the not very scary, very scary doors from the first film.
Which has been a big part of like the social media marketing.
Yeah.
For this film, there's like lots of Twitter polls.
Yeah.
Which one would you go for?
It's like, none of them, thanks.
Yeah, no thanks.
None of them. I'd look at them and say, you're just a clown. And repeat it again and again and again. But yes, they face that. Bill gets probably the most elaborate, because Mike doesn't get one, does he?
No, Mike.
No, but Mike does get a full-on flashback to watching his parents burn up.
Yeah.
In the apartment building.
Because he's been
in a visual reference to The Shining.
Yes,
because he's tricycling down the corridor,
and it's not the only reference to The Shining in this sequence.
No, God no. So yeah, Bill gets probably the most horrific one in terms of having to face his fears.
It basically revisits the basement scene from the first one.
Yeah, he sees Georgie's corpse in the flooded basement talking to his younger self, and then at one point he turns to realise he's where Pennywise was.
Yeah, he's puppeteering George.
Yeah. And it's like, that is gloriously disturbing.
And that's just basically about him confronting his guilt about faking being ill.
Yeah.
On that days we didn't have to go out and play with his little brother.
Which recontextualises the opening of the first movie, because when he does it, it almost looks like he's playing it up.
Yeah.
It's like a joke. He's like, oh, I can't be arsed. So I might die. And now you're like, oh god, no, he was just flat out lying to a young child. That wasn't him. That wasn't them joking around. That was him pretending to be ill in the hopes that Georgie would leave him alone. Oh my god, that's upsetting.
But it does allow him to overcome his guilt, which is the thing that's holding him back.
And Bev and Ben get separated at the same time.
They get sort of matching ones.
And they get zapped sort of through two doors, which from the trailers, the glimpse of it was Ben going through the door, but we thought, oh, is that part of the hallucination?
The smoke hole
scene,
no,
which we don't get.
We get the equivalent of it.
The touring route is sort of...
We get the equivalent of it with that, but apparently there was a version of it filmed with young Ben and Mike for the first film.
As part of the clubhouse stuff. In the clubhouse, which I kind of still buy because Ben's torture at this point as he's in... The clubhouse is crumbling and filling with dirt.
So Ben's...
debris, and he's gonna drown in there as a lone little fat kid that no one loves and no one came to save, as Pennywise closes the door of the clubhouse over him.
And then Bev is trapped in the cubicle from the beginning of the first film.
Yes.
Which is slowly filling with blood
from the toilet and
her various tormentors try and get in the door.
Yeah, who do we see? We see Henry Bowers, who says,
"Here's Johnny." We see Greta.
We see her dad. We see briefly her husband.
I think so. Yeah.
He literally just opens it. He just sort of goes like, and then it closes.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure there's someone else, but I might be wrong. Oh, Pennywise. Pennywise as well. But that's filling with blood, and they're calling out to each other. Yeah. Sort of snaps them both out of it, and Bev wrenches the door open to reveal the trapdoor to the clubhouse, and she pulls Ben out of the dirt, and then they both get zapped back in. All the while, we've neglected to mention this, Pennywise is back in the chamber as a giant fucking space spider.
Yeah.
Just like the TV series.
Like a spider centaur. Centaur.
It's the TV version rather than the book.
Yeah.
Because in the book, it's just a big female spider that they can comprehend.
Yeah.
And they do allude to that again. Again, they allude to the idea that like it's what they like you couldn't begin, because he even gives I'm the eater of worlds.
Yeah.
And then they make the whole thing of like, this is what they can conceive, but more so than the TV movie, this does imply that this is what it looks like, albeit it's got a clown half as well.
Yeah, because it likes it.
Because it likes the clown. I've seen nothing but, in terms of this being mentioned as a topic online on social media, I've seen nothing but complaints about this.
I liked it.
You know what? I fucking loved it.
I liked it.
I loved it because part of the cop-out of the finale of it, when you adapt it, is that you lose the terrifying character that you've spent the majority of the story being tormented by.
Yeah.
Because you just get a beastie. So this film went, let's give you the beastie, but it's got the head and arms of a clown. And go. And there's an excuse for... There's two people credited to the creature as well. There's a female performer credited as the spider, and Bill Skarsgård, of course, is playing Pennywise.
Yeah.
So I imagine she did the mocap for the creature, and then Bill Skarsgård was implemented into it as well.
Yeah.
I think it works really well.
Yeah, I did. You just
you get 8 big sort of lobstery legs, like the pincer arms and like the things that were in Stanley's head. You get the front 2 arms, mandible arms, are little clown arms that extend like tendrils.
They got lamprey mouths on them.
Yes, which immediately made me flash back to Stranger Things 3 with the mind flayer. So it was like, this is great. I'm game. And then they kind of start to figure out they can hurt it. Richie damages it with rocks and then gets hit by the deadlights.
It's such a good moment.
It's hilarious and disturbing.
Yeah,
in equal measure.
It's using Bill Hader's physical comedy skills.
Yeah.
To just do that terrifying. The way it's the way his knees go inwards.
Drops. Yeah.
Yeah.
He just completely drops.
He's like a marionette whose strings have been cut.
Yeah. Yippee-ki-yay, mother.
And his face just goes slack. It's like, blah.
It's horrible, but really
horrid.
Funny. It's horrible, but his performance of it is really funny.
Yeah.
So there's that, and that's when Eddie. So we predicted this, didn't we? Before I was like, I bet the bolt gun in the first one, which fills in for the pieces of silver, and this is better. Yes, and you see like it fills with those. I was like, I bet the bolt gun comes back. No, and I will say this thematically,
the bolt gun does come back.
Yeah, but it's not like. It's not used
for
this.
It's sort of used in the same context.
Yeah, but I was kind of sad. I kind of was like, give us the bolt gun. Give us the bookends. But we still get something filling that void. One of the spikes, because Beverly picks up a spike from the fence of the Niebolt house.
Yes.
And gives it to Eddie.
Which is
great, because it's like, that's what she used to impale him in the kitchen, impale Pennywise's head. So she turns to him, she's like, before they go down to the thing, Eddie's the one who's got doubts. And that's when Richie's finally just like, you're one of the most courageous people I've ever known. And you need to realise it. And it's like, it's the first time he's been directly sincere with him in the whole movie.
Yeah.
Much to his regret later, because he obviously wishes he'd been more sincere with him all along and more truthful with him all along. But Bev says, like, this kills monsters. And Eddie goes, does it? She's like, if you believe it does. So when Richie's in trouble... And you see sort of like it's the channeling of the deadlights are there in the room, and it's like the clown's head is open at the back to like channel them through his mouth. Eddie lobs the thing into Pennywise's mouth and injures him like really badly. This is after Mike's briefly been grabbed as well, and he was going to get eaten. And I thought they were going to do it because I was like, traditionally in the story, Mike is not here.
Yeah, he gets injured by Henry.
Yeah, and he's hospitalised.
He's hospitalised for the final confrontation.
So I was like, oh, they're going to kill off Mike. And I will say this isn't a thing on Asaya Mustafa. I do wish one of the losers had died prior. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I think just for the threat level.
I think it
really would have ramped up.
I thought they might have done it with Eddie.
With Henry.
With Henry and Eddie,
yeah. But just to ramp up the threat level of your favourite characters might not survive this. And I do kind of regret that a little. I don't regret that. I do kind of wish they'd done it still. But I also like the arcs it gives the characters.
Yeah.
As a result of them all being there, of the 6 being there and present in the chamber. So Eddie injures Pennywise, and they start to come up with a plan as Eddie's dying, and it's clear he is not going to make it out.
But Richie will not leave him.
Richie, more than anyone, seems so torn up about it.
But there is that comedy aspect, and also that just perfectly encapsulates their relationship. There's a Richie, come closer. I gotta tell you something.
Richie's genuinely shaking.
Yeah.
It's like, It's like,
fuck your mother. It's so good.
It's great.
And it's just those characters, and it's their relationship encapsulated, and it's funny and touching and sad.
But this is where they start to realise that, it is what we believe does it, and it has to abide by physical laws. Yeah. We need to get it small. And Eddie's like telling them as he's laying there bleeding, he's like, when it was the leper, like I was strangling, I felt it dying in my hands. You need to get it smaller. So they go like, and you know, Chekhov's gun, they're like, there's that tiny fucking passage near the front. If we get it out there and it has to follow us, it's got to shrink down to something. And when it does, we'll get it. But they don't get that.
Doesn't work.
He blocks the entrance immediately. And is gloating like hell about how, like, this is it. Like, I've got you. You're fucked. This was all for nothing. And that's when they use its own strength against it. And they're like, all right, okay, you're right. You are a killer clown. Clown. Emphasis on clown. You're just a clown. That is all you are to us. You're a clown. And this spider thing is trying so hard to stay consistent and tangible that's not working. And the more they yell at it, they just call it a pathetic, like, you're just a clown, a sad clown. You're. I think at one point, Richie said, "You're a shit clown." And when he finally joins him, he's like, "You're a shit clown." Yeah, you're a shit clown. And it's like, yeah, he is a shit clown. Let's be honest.
Not a good clown.
And it just starts getting more and more. You back it away, and you can see it. And it's this going back to what we were talking about last week. The creature is a pathetic.
It's a coward.
Easily injurable coward whose power is based completely within fear. And power to it. It tries. Like, it does try. Just before they tear its heart out, it tries to like bite Mike's arm, like with a scary face, and Mike sort of flinches a bit. It's like, you look on his eye, Mustafa's face is, bitch, please, because this effect is amazing.
It just sort of.
I've seen loads of comparisons online to the Shrunken Doctor from series 3.
And it becomes almost a stain on the rocks.
Yeah, like its legs kind of become these like withered tendrils, which then sink in, and it is just, you're right, it's just sort of like
face
a thing,
sort of plastered on the thing,
and it's like a pancake head, and little baby arm. Like, it still has the amount of arms that it did for spider legs, but they're like these little baby arms. And it's just sort of pathetically grasping at Mike's hand as he plunges his fingers into its chest. Pulls out the heart, and it's pleading. Yeah. When they all come together, they all grab the heart because they all want to make sure and just fucking crush it in their hands, and it flakes away and melts into the scenery, and it's just so well done.
And then everything blows up.
Yeah, and which we were saying before, I think that's the equivalent of the storm for the movie.
It's a very Poltergeist ending with them having to race out.
And they can't take Eddie's body.
They can't take Eddie's body, which Richie is distraught about.
Yeah.
Because he just doesn't want to leave him. And you get the Poltergeist ending of the house collapsing in on itself.
Yes.
As they have to haul Richie away from trying to go back in for Eddie.
And then they go back to the quarry, and there's almost like a baptism to kind of bookend their adventure as the Losers Club.
had that little moment.
Kick their shoes off.
Remembering Eddie because he'd hate that they were cleaning themselves in dirty water. And then Richie just breaks down.
That was, oh god.
And they'll comfort him like they do to Bill at the end of the first one when he finds Geordie's red. And it's so much mirroring of what it is. It's a literal mirroring as well, where you have that scene where they see themselves in the shop window with as kids with Stan and Eddie.
Yeah. And then it's tough, man. It's just so tough. It's horrible.
And the whole time, Richie never tells him what's wrong.
Yeah, he never
says why he's so upset.
And you kind of get the feeling that they get it.
It
doesn't need to be said.
It doesn't need to be said, but it did.
And then at the end, we cut to the end. The story is over. Mike starts. He calls Bill.
Yeah.
And as we end that conversation, Bill finds and opens the letter he's received.
Yeah.
He's presumably the last one to read his letter.
Stan left instructions to his widow to send these letters to all of his friends, assuming that I imagine he was like, okay, give it this amount of time because then they'll be dead otherwise. Yeah. And we see
Bev and Ben on a yacht, living it up
finally.
We obviously
with a massive dog.
Yeah.
Because why not?
Because why not? We see Bill obviously in his office, but the words he's writing, if I remember correctly, are a chapter.
They're from it. Yeah.
And he's just begun his new story, and the implication being that
this one's gonna have a good ending.
Gonna write what's just happened in a way, maybe.
This one's gonna have a good ending, like this one did.
Mike's gonna go somewhere else.
He mentions Florida when he's a kid in the flashback, so probably gonna go to Florida.
And who am I missing? It's just Richie, then, isn't it?
You don't see where Richie ends up, but you do see is he goes to the kissing bridge and he recarves the initials.
Yeah, and we get to see who the second initial is.
It's R&E.
R&E.
So you know that he's been in love with Eddie the whole time.
Yeah.
And it's just, and again, recontextualize that whole relationship and just give such a... And again, you cast a comedian to give the most important emotional core to this story.
Yeah.
It really anchors... So, on top of the Ben and Bev relationship, the Bill and Bev relationship, that sort of love triangle, which never turns into a point of...
Yeah, they never make a thing of it. Like they still have that thing of, like, you know, Bev sort of embraces and kisses Bill at one point, because it's like... it's that going through the motions. Their memories are kind of coming back in patches, and they have that moment. Because again, like it's like, is he not going to mention that
they full on sleep together?
I'm married. She's like, yeah, I'm married as well.
They full on fuck in the book.
But then she ends up with Ben at the end.
Yeah, she ends up with Ben.
So basically, King just likes people having sex in his book.
Why not? Yeah.
Please don't write in. We know about the scene in the sort of.
Yeah, we know.
Please don't. So yeah, but what's the last shot? So the last shot's just Derry. It's just a wide shot of Derry as Mike drives out of town, isn't it?
I think so.
I think that's the final shot.
I can't remember the last shot, so it must be really memorable.
But because it ends with it comes up.
Yeah.
In chapter 2, we were kind of like, I don't know if you were, but as it did that in my head, I was like, please don't put a stinger here.
No.
Please don't put a stinger, and there is not. Thank fuck.
No stingers.
The end credits music's the same as the first, but it's in a slightly sort of more hopeful key.
Yeah.
Which is quite nice. Doing the marathon was nice because I forgot at the end credits of number 1, at the very end, you hear Pennywise's laugh. At the end credits of number 2, you hear fuck all.
Because he's dead.
It's like, well done movies.
No more sequels, please. This was...
I really enjoyed it.
So good.
I get why people won't.
Well...
But I bloody did.
We've actually had an email.
About it chapter 2.
So let's see what...
Yakety yak, don't talk back to.
What we had a listen. So this one comes in from Beth.
Hey, Beth.
And
How
they
you doing, Beth?
had a bunch of stuff at Flipendo Films on Twitter.
Oh, right. Guys, follow Flipendo Films on Instagram. She has an
Instagram, not Twitter.
She's got, I think she's on Twitter with that handle as well, but she's got I'm aware of Flipendo Films because she has an excellent Instagram account for movies. If you love films, give her a follow. She's also got a ridiculously impressive steelbook collection.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? She's very much of our own ilk. So, hello, Beth. Thank you for sending a message in. What does she say?
Hi, guys.
I know where the antidote is. Wait, what?
No. So, I really enjoyed Chapter 2. I'm an avid Stephen King fan, and It is my favourite novel. You're in good company here, Beth. And I was anticipating part 2 to be really good, close to part 1. I knew I was biased before I went to the showing. I was going to enjoy it, even if critically it was actually a flop. Just so I don't end up waffling, like we did. Here are my main talking points of the movie. Casting was perfect in looks, character, and acting ability. Bill Hader and James Ranson as Richard Eddy stood out for me as they did for most. James McAvoy and Jessica Chastain were already my favourites to play their respective characters when Chapter 2 was announced, and they both did a grand job. McAvoy's experience from Split and Glass definitely shone through, and Chastain grasped Beverly exceptionally well. Jay Ryan as Ben was also a standout in terms of character development. I have to say, though, Mike was meh. I think Tim Reed in the 1990 adaptation did a lot more with Mike's character than Isaiah Mustafa. Reed demonstrated more of a book Mike than Mustafa did, in my opinion. I'd agree with that. The film Mike is very different from book Mike. And I think in some ways it gives Isaiah Mustafa more to do. For me, that's what I thought. But yeah, I get you. Bill Skarsgård once again demonstrated a thorough understanding of his iconic character and furthered my belief that he could surpass Tim Curry's timeless portrayal. I prefer Bill Skarsgård over Tim Curry any day. Although
like
Pennywise
equally.
Tim Curry's not...
Curry's delivery, like, is his delivery and his encapsulation of the character is a testament to his ability, because it is the one thing people do remember of the adaptation and always remember fondly. Plus, he plays him like a knackered birthday clown, which is such a different portrayal. That's so I quite like that. He's got that smoky vibe. Like when he goes, "Hiya, Georgie," for the first time, it sounds like a clown who's just backed away from the birthday and been like, "Oh, fuck."
Yeah.
Lit one up.
Oh, here we go.
I'm sitting around the corner and the birthday boy comes around and he's like, "Oh, hiya, Georgie." It's, I kind of like that. He's a clown for the late 80s.
Yeah.
A knackered birthday clown. Whereas Bill Skarsgård is a child that looks like a bobblehead.
Pennywise is the clown had less screen time, and then Chapter 1, Skarsgård still managed to deliver a fearsome and powerful performance. Ben Wallfish's soundtrack was exceptional.
Yeah, the score's excellent.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
I didn't think that he could beat Chapter 1, but he did it. Creating fear in an audience is difficult, especially when this film is probably more funny than scary. I think it's the balance for me. But Wallfish's compositions give the film a subconscious air of horror, even throughout the Eddie's mum jokes. True. The main thing I couldn't get on board with was the CGI, especially during Mrs. Kirsch's scene. Joan Gregson's acting was creepier than the CGI itself. The build-up was really good, with Skarsgård's brief no-makeup clip and the "she's behind you" gag. Happened a few times during the film. A lot of build-up and anticipation to a big scare, then it quickly deflated. Like a balloon, if you'll pardon the pun. Chapter 1 was definitely...
We will not only pardon it, we will commend it.
Chapter 1 was definitely much scarier. Stan's painting is still a big no from me. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts. Best wishes, Beth.
That was the painting, the fact we got a little cameo.
Yeah, we got a little bit of that. That was so creepy. But yeah, no, I can be on board with the CGI criticisms, absolutely. It didn't bother me so much, but the physical stuff in here is... Practical effects are always, for me, going to trump CGI.
Yeah.
And I think they do actually... They use more practical stuff in this than they would in some other projects of a similar ilk.
Yeah.
So there is good for that. But yeah, there is absolutely a lot of CGI in that, and I can see how that would take it away for people. But there's no other way to do the... I just don't think the spider would... The way they wanted to do it, I don't think the spider at the end would look as good.
It depends on how it's done, but I think because they had it be so agile.
Yeah.
Like when he scuttles around the wall, like you
kind
of need to do that in CGI.
That's what makes it so terrifying as well.
I don't know. I'm a sucker for practical. If they could,
they got a real Pomeranian.
Hey, look at Dark. And they got two. They got another one, and they got one that was really fucked up on meth and about 7 feet tall. That was a bit of not bad CGI, but laughable CGI. It was like, oh my god, this looks like something out of the Scooby-Doo movies. Yeah. Like, the hell is that? And then we moved on.
No, but I liked the hag, though, because it was clearly blended with the makeup effect. And it was just so bizarre. Like, it wasn't so much scary, it's just weird. Yeah. And your brain having to sort of pass what you were seeing. It's like, what the fuck is that? But yeah, I can absolutely see that stuff falling apart on repeat viewings. So, you know what? I'll reassess it once I get it on Blu-ray.
Which we will.
Yeah, because the reason I didn't buy the first one is because I knew they were going to do a second one. So why just wait for both out and get them together?
Double bill that shit.
Doi.
Double bill, literally.
Double bill.
Hader and Skarsgård.
Double bill.
And that's not even counting the character.
It's just got... Oh, right, so when we booked for the It double bill, we weren't necessarily booking for a double bill of the It films, we were booking for
Skarsgård and Hader.
Double bill.
Yeah, double bill. Double the bill. Starring James McAvoy as Bill. Triple bill.
3 bills.
Duck-billed platypus.
3 bills, 5 and a bit hours, 1 low price.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we extend this podcast to the length of part 2, let's keep it roughly to the length of chapter 1. Thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoy this nonsense. I always like listening to sort of in-depth look backs on things I've just watched that I'm not going to be able to see for a while again. So hopefully you guys got a kick out of this. Thank you to Beth for emailing in. If you guys have seen it, Chapter 2, and want to talk to us about it, or you've seen it by the time you've heard this, feel free to send in some thoughts next week. Put spoilers in the email title if you go into details, just so we can warn the listeners. Just in case. But you know how to get in touch. bigdamcontact@gmail.com. You can also hit us up on Twitter @BigDamnCast.
Yep. Big Damn Stream on Twitch.
Big Damn Stream on Twitch.
Got some stuff going on.
And for those eagle-eyed of you who noticed the links this week, take a few minutes to read patreon.com/BigDamnCast. Yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be nice to y'all.
That's the thing now.
Do have a little look at that.
So have a peek.
We'd appreciate it if you'd at least read it.
If you're able, then we would very much appreciate your support.
But if you're not able, fuck you! No, I'm kidding. If you're not able, just spread the word. We're eternally grateful for that as we are for you.
Yes.
Right, so for more Big Damn content, keep an eye on our nonsense. But till then, kiss me, fat boy!